1, 2, 1, 2. Had a mic issue this morning. That's why we're on a little bit earlier than usual. We're about 3 minutes earlier because I started working on stuff earlier because I knew I had a mic issue. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs. Why is everything so dark? What is going on with the... paid no attention to the lighting. There we go. That's a little better. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. I do this every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Monday through Friday. Been doing it for 3 years. Woo! By the way, not that you've noticed, no vacations. Yeah, that's right. No vacations. Yeah, so imagine this is your favorite radio talk show, right? Imagine that. Imagine I'm on, I don't know, WBAP 93.3 FM here in Dallas, the way I will be later this afternoon as I join my good buddy James Parker on his afternoon show. So let's imagine you listen to this show in traditional means. You've been listening on the radio. I would have done like 30% less shows. 30% less shows. I'd take my vacation time. I would take days off. Nope, not here. Not the way we do it here. Every single day I sit in this chair, unless, I've missed a couple of days. I'm not saying I haven't missed days. I've been sick, but I really haven't missed any days. No, I haven't. I have not taken any vacation. But you know what? That's not, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm actually just free thinking. This is all just popping into my head right now because that's how this show is performed. It is a stream of consciousness rant where I, a middle-aged narcissist, sit in front of a camera and stream about all the day's news. Streaming both digitally. The dog's outside. I locked the dog outside of the room today because, she's been trouble. But she enjoys watching the show. I think she does enjoy it for like an hour. Maybe she likes my voice. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But now she's outside the door and she's like all angry. So I'm going to have to put up with that for a little bit. But at some point coming up, again, I'm going to have to let the dog in. But that'll just take a second. All right, where were we? So the show is performed as a stream of consciousness and a rant, really. That's why it's called The Rant. And it's basically about all the things that are happening in the world, current events, headlines, all that stuff. Now, back to where I was. So if I was on the radio, if I was on like WBAP, I would have taken a whole bunch of vacation. Although not as much as I think, because now I'm going back to the old Pugs and Kelly days. Even when I had shows, and not just there, but even, at the Loop in Chicago and everywhere else I've worked, I never take my vacation. I always leave weeks on the table. Like at the end of the year, they're like, you still got like 2 weeks worth. By the end, they added like a week vacation every year. We were at 105.3. And by the time we left after a decade plus, I had like 10 weeks vacation if I wanted it, right? Like that was, and I would only go, maybe I'd take a week. Maybe I did. Kelly, it was different. Kelly took all her time, and then Kelly took all her sick days, and Kelly took all her, but not because Kelly's just out there being a party girl. She was a mom. I mean, it was way different for her. She had kids deserved vacations. And so, but not me. I had nothing going on in my life except the show. I think that's kind of the same thing. Here we are now. Look at me now. Same thing. Nothing going on in my life except this show. You want to talk about love of the game? Apparently, I am the broadcasting embodiment of love of the game. I never took my vacations. Do you know why? Because I loved doing what I was doing. It was. Are you kidding me? They paid me extraordinarily well for a decade plus to basically just come hang out with my friends and bust balls for 4 hours. You think I needed a vacation from that? Are you out of your mind? I hated vacation. Vacation was like... Anyway, but I was just thinking about that. I haven't taken vacation because my kid gets vacations because he's got a fully functioning family. His mom is a fully functioning. He gets all of that. So he goes on vacations. He goes places and stuff. He says to me, Dad, we never go on vacation. I go, yeah, you know what? I never go on vacation. That's kind of one of the downsides of being attached to me. Probably not going to get a lot of vacations. But the way I look at it, life is a vacation. Huh? How about it? What? I don't punch a time clock. I don't deserve a vacation. I got to let the dog in. She's driving me nuts. All right. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll get into everything that we're going to do today. So hold on. Don't worry. I'll say hi to all of you in the chat room. I want everybody in the chat room to get it. Come on. Let's go. Start filling in. It's thin right now. I know it's only 12:08. Hold on. Be right back. Got to let the dog in. Ugh. All right. Let's go. Okay. There we go. All right. Do we need to establish the CeeLo cam? I don't think so. No, just knock the cameras, dude. Just go ahead. Make yourself comfortable, dog. All right, dog is secured. CeeLo is my co-host. Hi, girl. CeeLo is my co-host. She is a, I don't know, 2.5, 3, maybe 3 years old. We don't know. We have no idea. She's a bum box dog. Apparently her origins were on, in a box that a homeless guy had, and she got taken in by a family, and that family, she grew, and that family was like, we can't really handle this dog. So my friends, the lovely E family, they adopted her. And I've been taking care of her and training her. And now she's kind of like a community dog, although ultimately she's their dog. But she's a community dog, and she co-hosts with me. She is as I say, probably 3 years old, somewhere around there. She is what's known as a hooly bully. That is a Catahoula and an American Bulldog mixed. She is nuts, but also awesome. All right, where was I? Let's say hi to the chat room. Look at this guy. What do we got? What do we got? Plasmatically. What is that? We got. Is that a bot? Oh. Flatter me. Having a chat room that's popular enough to attract bots. Oh, stop it. That's fantastic. Rainy Days is here. Hi, Rainy Days. We got Billy F. We got Al, Big Al. We got Adam. Adam's here. Oh, let me see. Let me get more with our chat people. I know we got more. We got Byron's in here. We got Jimmy Smells. We got Jamie. Jameson. I got to have nicknames for everybody. Especially you constants. You know, you people that are always in here. You got to have the King of the Cornfield. That's Jeff Ballard. He's got a bunch of them. They're all derivative of some Iowa thing because he's in Iowa. Let's see. Cam. Oh, love seeing Cam here. Barney. Barney's our guy. By the way, because, I respect anonymity or whatever. We do a thing on this show. We look for our executive producers the day beforehand. The show runs on tips. That's right? You want to drop something in the Cash App? You want to drop something in the Venmo? That's how this show runs. Tips. Every day we say, give us some tips. And every day nobody tips. But that's okay. Sometimes people do, like 6 of you do, and you've been keeping the show. Nah, that's not true. Why am I being pessimistic? I should be optimistic. The fact that anybody wants to support this absurd narcissistic endeavor. Let's call it that. I appreciate. But every day we look for the big tipper. The big tipper of the day becomes the next day's executive producer. Today's executive producer, let's give it to him, Terry S. Thank you so much, Terry. And any port in the storm, buddy, you just, you probably think that what you did was insignificant. It wasn't insignificant. It was on a bunch of, and what I'm saying is thank you, brother. What a wonderful, just see that and just get on. You're like, there you go. You know what? That's somebody who actually cares. That gives me a reason. Appreciate you. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is be the big tipper the way Terry S. was. So thank you, Barn. Okay, what are we doing here? April's here, my girl. April, Jen's here. Girls, did you see that we've got a bot in the chat room? Woo. Someone's getting popular. All right, this show is a rundown of all the day's current events, hot topics, trends, pop culture stuff, and whatever the hell else is on my mind. I don't consider myself particularly interesting, but I am wildly narcissistic, so you will sit there and you will listen. Some of you will anyway. The show is performed as a stream of consciousness in 4 quarters, segments. We call them quarters. First quarter is a thing we call antecedently on this day. That's just this day in history, no more, no less. Except it's through my lens, which makes it wonderful that I mention I'm a narcissist. Quarter 2 is birthdays. You know what that is. Don't be stupid. Quarter 3 is deads. Welcome to the dead zone, folks. This is where we take people, notable, quotable celebrities, whatever, world figures. If they passed away on this day, we talk about them. We open up their life's resume and we decide where'd they go. Did they ascend to heaven? Or did they go to hell? We sentence them. Or we elevate them, whichever the case may be. That's quarter 3. That's the deads. Quarter 4 is the hot topics part of the show. Quarter 4 is everything that's happening in the world. Headlines, hot topics, everything you need to know about today. Purpose of the show is that after you've listened to those 4 quarters, after we've communally experienced those 4 quarters, then we know a little something about what this day is. So let's get started. This day is the 19th day, 19th day of June. Year of our Lord 2024. All right, there you go. 19th. It just dawned on me. Oh my God, it just dawned on me. My mom's birthday's coming up, and that's always a rough day for me. It's not a rough day for me. I'm just saying, it's a rough day for me because you can't forget it. There's no excuse in the world for me to not remember my mother's birthday. And I have since the time I was little. I've always remembered it. But, it's coming up as I get older and I get more distracted by things like big weekend with the kid coming up. Yeah, we're going to have some fun. And I think mom's birthday is falling somewhere on that week. And not somewhere. I mean, I can do the math in my head. I know exactly what day. Anyway, let's keep going. Terry says, if every listener gave Pugs $1 a day, it would add up to enough the Pugs could stop worrying about. That is true. That is true. That is very true. Let's make it $2 a day. I mean, come on, inflation. But, I see what you're saying, man. That is very, very true. As a matter of fact, people for years now have been saying, just make your show, just put a paywall, dude. Just make people have to pay $1 to get in and watch it. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that for the same reason I don't want to do advertisers. This is why I'm not successful. Too principled. Man. This shit has haunted me my entire career. Kelly and I were very principled. Kelly and I refused. We're the only show on the station, probably the only show in this damn market. No, that's not true, because I do know another show, The Hardline. Probably the only show in this damn market that would routinely not take advertisers. Like, they'd want to advertise, and we'd go and we'd meet them, and we'd hear their pitch and try their product or whatever, and we wouldn't take them. Famously, the United States Army was going to drop boatloads of money into our show during the ramp up to the war in Iraq. Back before there was a war in Iraq, there was a let's get everybody ready. And the United States Army allotted a lot of money to radio, and boy, oh boy, did they love the Howard Stern audience. They wanted that audience. So they came and they wanted to do stuff. They wanted, we ought to do a weekly segment. I mean, we are talking big advertising dollars, and we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't do it because we didn't feel comfortable. We didn't feel comfortable with what was going on in the world at that point. And we certainly didn't feel comfortable trying to convince, some 18-year-old kid from Forney who listened to our show that maybe he ought to join the Marines. That is not a decision that either Kelly or myself felt we should play a role in. So we turned down the Army. We lost a lot of money for that. Body Solutions was another famous one. Body Solutions was the very first advertiser that we ever turned down in this market. Body Solution was a weight loss drug, and everybody was doing it. Every radio show in America had somebody take a minute out of their show to tell you about Body Solutions. Let me tell you how I lost 5 pounds. I just drink this stuff, and I eat normal, and I just lose the weight. It was total bullshit. It didn't work, and the company went out of business, and I believe was sued into oblivion in the following years. Kelly and I knew this because we had a run-in with the Body Solutions people when we were doing our show in Chicago. So when we came to Dallas, they're like, Body Solutions. And because we were brand new, the Body Solutions situation that arose before we even signed on the air. They're like, and Body Solutions is coming on in Pugs. You want to endorse it? You want to lose a few pounds? And I'm like, yeah, I do want to lose a few pounds. No, don't want to endorse them. And then Kelly, how about you? You want to stay fit? And she's like, yeah, no, me neither. Body Solutions is a fraud. We're not going to start our first week on the air and have the first impression of our listeners be, hey, these guys are con men. So we didn't want that. So actually, a really interesting thing had to happen. They wanted to take the money, and we were brand new and had zero power to actually refuse advertising on the show because they didn't know we were going to be the wild hit we were. They had no idea. They had no faith in us. 10 years later. So they made a sales guy come in, our good friend Wayne Walker, who had the account every day during our show. Pugs and Kelly had to stop, and we had to let Wayne Walker in, and we'd say, Wayne, what's going on? And Wayne would be like, I just want to tell you about my diet and how Body Solutions is helping me. Kelly and I looking at it the whole time. Kelly was so funny. Kelly would be like, you don't really, I guess your face a little. Like she was just trying to be nice. Didn't work. Body Solutions. So that's why, Terry, we don't want to hide behind a paywall because it's a long line of things in my career that I have done that have made me not rich today. Which here's a great story about an advertiser we turned down. We turned down a massage parlor. This fairly well-known at the time massage parlor here in town. It was a whorehouse. We knew it was a whorehouse. And sales comes and says, hey, we got this spa. It's a day spa. It's really nice. We're like, no, it's not. That's not a really nice day spa. We know what that place is. That place has a reputation. You want your midday show, the clean show, to be associated with the brothel in town, the well-known brothel. It was a brothel. People knew about it. And they were like, well, maybe we'll talk about it. Blah. That's the old owners. They're trying to change the reputation. There was that whole pitch to us. And this was so funny. This is one of my favorite moments from radio. During the weeks that was all going on, where we were refusing to take this advertiser on our show, in the middle of our show, well, we were right down the block from where this place was. Which is why the sales department were pushing so hard. Sales department loves to sell things that are within walking distance from the radio station. It's just so much easier because they're kind of lazy. The good ones are great. The lazy ones are lazy. So during our show, at we ended at 3 or something, I think in the 2:00 hour, there started to be this big SWAT standoff down the street from our studio. During our show, the advertiser that the radio station was pushing us to, endorse, during our show, that very same advertiser was involved in a SWAT team standoff when the owner of the place apparently was refusing to foreclose something. And it happened live on our show. And I remember somebody in sales, and I want to say it was Keith McPhail. He was in studio because we often had people from sales come in studio, not for sales reasons, but just so that we could, dissect the whole being a salesperson lifestyle. I believe he said while this was going on, he said to us, so will you guys talk about this place now? It was very funny. We're like, yeah, we'll talk about what's happening right down the street with a standoff at a whorehouse. County SWAT is there. All right. Barney says non-therapeutic massage. Yeah. Adam calls them Jack Shacks. Yeah, that's what we used to call them. Bill Folk says the Swedish Institute. Bill Folk is apparently a long-time listener who remembers details that I didn't even remember. I wasn't even sure of the name, but I am now. Very well played, sir. Very well played. All right, let's get started. I already said, what do we say, right? It's the 171st day of the year, 195 days until the end of the year. Let's get into quarter one. We call this antecedently on this day. These are all the events that have happened on this day. Not all of them. That'd be crazy. Just the ones I cherry picked. Antecedently on this day in 1586, English colonists leave Roanoke Island after failing to establish England's first permanent settlement in North America. Now, this is a very matter-of-fact, historically contextual way of reducing one of America's first great mysteries. The Roanoke colony was one of the first colonies that was settled by British people, right? I think it was some dude named White or something. He got there. It was a little island off North Carolina. It's a part of North Carolina now. It's like a suburb. But anyway, back then, actually, I don't know if it's a suburb. I don't know what Roanoke colony is. I know that it's civilized. Like, I know that it's not what it was when they arrived there back in the, 1500s. So they set up a colony. And they were there for a while, and everything seemed like it was going well, or families, and, they built a church and a school and all this kind of stuff, and shit was going well. And then the dude who was in charge of everything said, hey, I got to book it back to England, and I got to get some supplies. So he booked it back to England to get some supplies. Gone 3 years. That was a 3-year trip back then. So he comes back 3 years later with all the supplies. Roanoke vanished. Gone. Completely gone. No signs, no deaths. There aren't mass graves. There's no sign that they were invaded or there was a war. Nothing. The entire colony of Roanoke disappeared, vanished, like a Bermuda Triangle type thing. Gone. Now, here's what I think reasonable people believe happened. What probably happened was they moved over to the Chesapeake Bay colony. The people on Roanoke, while the dude was gone in England, the people on Roanoke moved over to the Chesapeake Bay colony, okay? And those people probably left someone behind to, like, wait. Like, hey, when they come back from England, tell them that we moved over here for whatever reason. Better cell phone reception or whatever it was. And what they think is that the dude who was left behind either one just assimilated with the local tribes and like got married and had a family and all that stuff, or was killed and eaten by the local tribes, leaving, no sign of anything else. So who knows? The Roanoke colony. Go to YouTube, fall into that hole. Boy, oh boy. Antecedently on this day in 1862, Congress prohibits slavery in all current and future United States territories. President Lincoln quickly signs the legislation into law. 1862, people knew. Just a reminder, people knew. 1862, people knew. People knew in 1862. So if you're defending what your great ancestor Uncle Cletus did, people knew. Normal people knew. You know today, and just so you know, people back then knew, and your Uncle Cletus was okay with enslaving his fellow man. Just let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. Antecedently on this day in 1865, I'm not judging Uncle Cletus. Uncle Cletus might have been awesome, but he did have this one part of his character, which for a lot of people in modern times would completely eliminate any of his other good characters. But I'm willing to stay open-minded because Cletus is dead, and you're never going to meet him anyway. Antecedently on this day in 1865, over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, I laugh because, the white man, he's hysterical. Over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, slaves in Galveston, Texas, are officially informed of their freedom. So this is the basis for Juneteenth, right? This is, so you get this, right? Like the Emancipation Proclamation is signed. Slaves are freed, but nobody down in Galveston tells anybody. They just don't say. They're like, yeah, we're not supposed to be doing this anymore, but don't tell the darky. So they just, for like 3 years, how many years? 2 years, 3 years? 2 years? For like 2 years, these dudes are free, and they're just like going along with the slave thing because nobody told them. White man's hysterical. That's great. Was that a prank pulled by Ichabod Kushner? What's his name? Ashton Kutcher. Ichabod Kutcher pulled that prank down in Galveston. Antecedently on this day in 1943, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NFL merged for one season, becoming who is cutely referred to as the Philadelphia Steagles. No, I'm sorry, the Pennsylvania Steagles. Jesus, Philadelphia Steagles. I blew the fucking line. You fucking idiot. You blew that line. Philadelphia Steagles. They're the Pennsylvania Steagles. Yeah, it was during the war. Yeah, the war ruined a lot of good sports. And in Philadelphia, they decided, or in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, they decided that they couldn't, didn't have enough for two teams. Here, I'm going to show you these pictures. Actually, oh, damn it. Hold on. I'm going to have to. I like to show you pictures from Bing, but for some reason, the pictures came up from Google. I don't want that. Hold on. We'll see some of these. All right, let's see what they looked like. Ugh. I want to see uniforms. I want to see what a Pittsburgh Steeler and a Philadelphia Eagle mashup uniform looked like. Here we go. All right. This is apparently a game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Apparently the Cincinnati Bengals. Is that Bing? There we go. Ugh, I hate this part of it. There we go. There they are, the 1943. Wasn't it worth it, folks? The Pennsylvania Steagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Pittsburgh Steelers merged teams for 1 year because of the war, and they were terrible, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's look at some more of these pictures. It looks like they went with, from the calves down, they look like the Pittsburgh Steelers, but for everything up, maybe those are Pittsburgh Steelers pants. Let's just call them Pittsburgh Steelers pants, but they are decidedly wearing Philadelphia Eagle colors from the waist up. Terrible color combination. What a terrible color combination. Packers, right? Can you see that? I hate the Packers. I saw those colors. I didn't even originally think Packers. Here they are. And the Steagles. The Eagle Steelers versus the Green Bay Packers. Steagles conquered Dodger 11. What the fuck are the Dodger 11? Oh my God. All right, I'm getting out of this. I could fall into a hole here. We don't need that. Not in today's show. Let's move on. Antecedently on this day in 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg are executed at Sing Sing in New York. They were accused of being spies. They were also Jewish, turned into a big anti-Semitism kind of deal. People to this day, they wonder, did Julius and Ethel Rosenberg do it? I kind of think they might have, but whatever. I'm an optimist. Yeah, that would make me an optimist because I choose to believe the United States government got it right when they executed Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. I happen to have faith in my institutions. I'm an American. I love America. I do. On this day, antecedently in 1964, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was approved after surviving an 83-day filibuster in the United States Senate. 83. There's some dudes. A lot of Democrats, by the way. Let's not forget the Democrats, the Dixiecrats, and all that caused all kinds of problems for black people as recently as the 19. Hell, the Democrats, like in my lifetime, and by the way, I hate the Republicans too. They suck. They're like Nazis now, but the Democrats were Nazis like back in the 60s, literally, legitimately. Hell, in 1980. You do realize that the Chuck Schumer of the Democratic Party in the 1980s was a former leader of the Ku Klux Klan, right? Senator Byrd, remember him? Pretty sure Jesse Helms was a Democrat as well until, I think the Reagan years or whatever. So anyway, the Civil Rights Act, 83-day filibuster. People for 83 days, man, they left it all out there on the congressional floor for their beliefs that black people should not have the same rights as white people. I mean, wrong side of history, Grandpa, or great-grandpa, or whoever that might be. That ain't a good place to be. You're like the great-grandson of some dude who was famous because he was a senator and he stood against the Civil Rights Act. That's not good. You don't want your black friends finding that out. On this day, antecedently, in the year 2005, following a series of Michelin tire failures during the United States Grand Prix. This was actually cool. I remember when this happened. So the Grand Prix, this is Indy cars. The Grand Prix was starting. Was it the Michelin Grand Prix? No. It was the United States Grand Prix. But Michelin had unveiled new tires, and the drivers didn't like the tires. And there were some really bad wrecks in qualifying on these tires. And the entire field was using these tires. So the race begins, and they go out for the formation lap. That's where all of the cars that are in the race go out, and they do one little lap around, formation lap. They warm the tires. They do all of that stuff. At the conclusion of the formation lap on this day, all the cars that had Michelin tires pulled off into the pits in protest. They were like, we're not racing. That's fine. We're not racing. Michelin had like 90% of the tires in the race. The race was left, I want to say it was like 4 cars or something. I think it might have been 6 or something. But it was crazy to look at. It's like, that's it. That's the whole, there's only 6 cars in this big United States Grand Prix race. On this day, 2005, the great tire boycott. Let's see here. Bridgestone, that's what it says. It says here, Bridgestone were the only other tires in the race, and all the cars that had Bridgestone competed. Antecedently on this day in 2012, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange requested asylum in London. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't want to waste another minute of my life thinking about Julian Assange. Weirdo. Let's do some birthdays. Quarter 2. This is where we take a look at people who were born on this day, and really we just decide, are they cool? Here's one who's cool. Mo Howard, born on this day in 1897. Mo Howard. I'm trying to, do I have any like stream of consciousness thoughts about the Three Stooges? Scanning. No, I don't. I know more about like, I know a lot about the Marx Brothers. I don't know so much about the Three Stooges. Was never as big a fan of the Three Stooges as, maybe I should have been. My generation, all my friends were like, Stooges are awesome. And I'm like, yeah, they're okay. But me personally, I always liked the Little Rascals. When I grew up, after school, we got an hour of Little Rascals and Three Stooges. It was an hour. It was a half hour of Little Rascals followed by a half hour of Three Stooges, or vice versa. It depends. But I always preferred the Little Rascals. They were creative. They had ingenuity. They were little scamps. I liked them. The Three Stooges were like 3 borderline retarded men who were just hitting each other in the face with hammers and shit. I don't know. I thought the Little Rascals were better. That was just me. But still, happy birthday, Mo Howard. You're pretty funny. I mean, it's not like the Stooges weren't funny at all. Born on this day in 1903, one of the greats. I don't think he's a top 10er though. He might be. I don't think in any fair list of the greatest baseball players of all time, he would be a top 10er. But I think when you probably look at lists, he's probably in the top 10. One of the greats, but completely different. Like one of the greats among white guys, right? Like I always have to consider that whenever you think about these people that played baseball when it was just white guys. It's like among all the white guys, he's definitely one of the best. However, the Negro Leagues had some shit going on that nobody was paying attention to. So I don't know how he is against, say, Elston Howard in his prime. But we're talking about Lou Gehrig, the great Lou Gehrig, born on this day in 1903. I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Born on this day in 1915, Pat Buttram. Pat Buttram, ladies and gentlemen. You don't know the name, but I'll tell you who he was. Mr. Haney. Remember Mr. Haney from Green Acres? Oh, man. My first introduction to a real con man, and I spotted him right away. I'm a great judge of character. I'm a narcissist, and I'm a great judge of character. Mr. Haney was the character on Green Acres, which was a sitcom about a rich guy from New York City who decides to chuck it all and move to a farm in some rural community. And he's a snob and an ass. Anyway, that's what Green Acres was about, if you're too young to know. Mr. Haney, and by the way, this was like in the 60s, right? Like Green Acres was set in the 60s. Oliver and Lisa, they lived in a house in rural America in the 1960s, right? Okay. Because it seems very old-timey. Like, it seems like, wait, was that set in the 1920s? Because Mr. Haney was a guy, Pat Buttram, our birthday guy. Mr. Haney was a guy who seemed to just go from house to house selling bullshit, like magic tonics or whatever that he had. Was that still going on in the 1960s? Happy birthday, Pat Buttram. Born on this day in 1928. This one sucks because yesterday she died. We talked about it being the anniversary of her death yesterday. We talked a little bit about her. I talked about how she was important in 2 TV shows from my life growing up. And that's Nancy Marchand. Nancy Marchand, born on this day in 1928. Died yesterday. Didn't actually die yesterday. Yesterday was the anniversary of her death. So in her lifespan, she died the day before her birthday. Oh my God. People returning presents. Let's see. Oh, Nancy Marchand. Of course, she was Livia Soprano. What are you doing, dog? Dog just completely wrecked the camera angle by stretching. Are you comfortable now? Oh, you son of a bee. Gotta fix the camera. You know what? We're just going to go Batman style, I guess. A little bit crooked. Stupid dog. Ugh. Now the desk is all out of whack because I've accommodated you. She's sleeping at my feet. My dog is sleeping. The dog is sleeping in my feet. Where were we? What were we talking about? Nancy Marchand. That's right. She was Livia Soprano in The Sopranos. She was Tony Soprano's mother, but she was also Mrs. Pynchon from Lou Grant. Born on this day in 1950. This is a cool one. This is a cool ass broad. And in the past couple of years, have become. I've always been an admirer. There's no way you couldn't. I mean, even if you weren't a fan. Even if you weren't a fan of the specific brand of entertainment, you absolutely acknowledge that this person, their talent is undeniable. And I don't know that growing up, being exposed to this person's music, I was all of that appreciative of it. I am now, and I'll tell you why I am now. Because my son, my son just organically, and I think it was through playing video games that use classic rock music, my son just organically became a fan of a certain song. And so he started playing it. And then because I am the director of my son's cultural education, once he told me and played the song for me and said, "Dad, isn't this song great?" I was like, yeah, that song actually is great. It's a song that had been ubiquitous in my life forever. You take it for granted because you grow up with it and it's just something, yeah, you like it, but you're like, yeah, okay, I take it for granted. He's hearing it fresh for the first time and he's like, "Isn't this a great song?" I'm like, "Yes, it is." I'm like, "But if you like this," and we went deep. And why not? I was enjoying it too because I wasn't all that familiar with it. But now, to this day, if you ask my son to name the 5 greatest rock and roll vocalists of all time, you better believe that he's going to include Ann Wilson of Heart. The song he heard, Barracuda. Do you know how cool it must have been for like a 13-year-old who likes rock music to hear Barracuda for the first time? See, and again, this is where we get a bit of a skewed perspective because we've heard it a million times. It's I mean, we know that. That's not, but hearing it for the first time. Ann Wilson, very cool. You know what else is cool that my son will tell you? He will tell you if you ask him, you say, "Who's the greatest female guitar player of all time?" He'll tell you Nancy. He'll tell you Nancy Wilson. And then he'll say something, and I want to quote him now. "She could do things on guitar that girls weren't allowed to do back then." That's what he said. Which is cool. Happy birthday, Ann Wilson. You're a baller and a badass and one of the greatest female rock stars of all time. Heart, Ann Wilson. Born on this day in 1954, one of the scariest and most beastly predatorial pieces of garbage the music industry has ever produced. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to the one and only Lou Pearlman. American music producer, fraudster, child molester. Not just a child molester. He was like molesting, like, you got to think, oh God, this is why I can't do regular radio. You got to think that in the world of child molestation, where Lou Pearlman was probably a card-carrying member of whatever clubs they have, little pedo clubs, you got to imagine that in that world, Lou Pearlman was like Hugh Hefner, because Lou Pearlman was the guy who created the Backstreet Boys, right? 98 Degrees, the Old Town, all. That's what he did. These bands. Remember the boy band explosion of the mid to late 1990s? That was all Lou Pearlman. That was all him. They were all his bands. He held the auditions and he said, "Do you want to be a star?" And he did that with all these kids. Probably diddled a 14-year-old Justin Timberlake. So what I'm saying is, contextually within the universe of pedophiles, and I can forgive you if you don't want to step inside this world with me for a moment while we pretend, But within that personal universe, that pedophile world, Lou Pearlman was Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner's like, yeah, I'm molesting Justin Timberlake. Anyway, he's going to hell. He's dead. I know this is birthdays, but let's just preemptively put this son of a bitch in hell. He did. He molested his way through all the boy bands of the 1990s, Lou Pearlman. Born on this day in 1954, let's talk about Kathleen Turner. Yeah, let's take a minute and talk about Kathleen Turner. Let's take a minute here, because she's kind of complicated for me. Like when Kathleen Turner burst onto the scene in like Body Heat and all of this, she was like, she was a sex symbol, but she wasn't a sex symbol for me. I was like 10 years old. She was like a sex symbol for like, 40-year-old dads who were contemplating divorce. That's who Kathleen Turner. She was like Bo Derek and Farrah Fawcett. They were sex symbols for me. For me. your Jacqueline Bissett's, your Kathleen Turners, maybe, your Jessica Langs. They were sex symbols for older men. But as I got older, I started to reevaluate Kathleen Turner. She's sexy, man. She's a sexy lady. I get it. I was just too dumb. I was a kid. I wasn't worldly enough. I didn't get her sizzle. I didn't get her sultriness. I didn't get, that's what her whole vibe was. I think pound for pound beauty. She's a pretty woman. She's a beautiful woman. She's like what I might call a Cincinnati 8. Yeah, but she's not a Hollywood 10. And somehow Kathleen Turner became this big. Why? Because she had that X factor. She had that sexy sizzle that there's just something indescribable. Happy birthday, Kathleen Turner. Born on this day in 1954. Born on this day in 1962, Paula Abdul. Oh my God. I got Paula Abdul stories for you. I got a lot of Paula Abdul stories. I had a friend who lived with Paula Abdul. I remember going to lunch once, and for some reason, she never really talked about living with Paula Abdul. She was a girl. She never really talked about living with Paula Abdul. She was an American Idol contestant, and for some reason, Paula Abdul took a shine to her, and she ended up living with her. She lived with Paula Abdul. She told me like these crazy stories about how she would have like these breakdowns. She's like, remember, because if you remember what was going on publicly back when American Idol was a zenith of television must-see TV, Paula Abdul was a train wreck. She was like missing shows, and they're all, entertainment tonight was all about what's wrong with Paula. Well, I have a friend who was living with her when all that was going on. Crazy. Happy birthday, Paula Abdul. You are nuts. You are. And here's why I'm so cavalier talking about it, because that I'm very sensitive to the whole mental health thing. I always have compassion for these people. I mean, I've got it on firsthand authority that this was not really what I would consider some sort of serious mental debilitating condition. This was just a really awful person who was crazy, over the top emotional about not getting what she wanted. And that's a whole different thing. Also possibly, and this is another choice of the individual, possibly some serious dependency issues. That's just what I've been told. That'd be a fun interview. I wonder if I specifically didn't say this person's name, even though this person is well known in her own right. Like I said, she was an American Idol contestant, and she went on to have a broadcast career of her own. I'd like to interview that person about this. Boy, that would be good. What was it like living with Paula Abdul while she was in free fall? All right, moving on. Born on this day in 1972. Here's a fun one. I spent a couple of minutes talking about this one too. Robin Tunney, born on this day in 1972. Robin Tunney. Robin Tunney, I grew up with Robin Tunney. Robin Tunney is from my hometown, went to different high schools. She lived on the other side, the Palos Heights side. She went to Sandburg, but I went to Andrew. But it doesn't matter. During the youth movement, when we were all growing up and all that stuff, I know her brother very well. Her cousin. Robin Tunney is an actress. I don't know, Google her. You'll be like, oh, I know that chick. But she's a couple of years younger than me. But still, I remember like her at high school parties and stuff. And it was odd because she was really pretty. Like, she was, like, staggeringly pretty. She was like one of those, "Ugh, is that chick going?" But her friends were the interesting ones. I wanna say that there are and these are 2 local products. There are 2 local products in the Chicago area and in the Midwest that I don't think you can get here in Texas. Those products are Canfield sodas and Vintner's potato chips. And, I wanna say that, like, the heiresses to the Vintner's potato chip family and the heiress to the Canfield soda pop family were her, like, best friends. That's my memory of it. Anyway, I remember when, I just made a joke. I made a joke about, Kathleen Turner probably being a Cincinnati 8 that I call her. So, Robin Tunney was an Orland Park 10, right? Orland Park is a suburb on the south side of Chicago. So, Robin Tunney was an Orland Park 10. And then she goes to Hollywood. She's gonna be an actress, and everybody loses touch with everybody from the old neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. And then she pops up in a movie. She pops up, she's got her first movie, she's starring in it, and it's like, "What? What do you mean she's starring in it?" And by the way, this was all happening at the very same time that Jenny McCarthy, who is also from the neighborhood, is all of a sudden blowing up on Playboy. It's like, holy shit, what is going on with the chicks that we grew up with? So Robin Tunney's starring in this movie, and she comes out in this movie, and we're all wondering what she's gonna be, what she's gonna be. And then we see her, we're like, why did they make her ugly? Why did they screw her up? This is, of course, the 90s film Empire Records, where they cast Robin to play the girl who shaves her head and has weird tattoos all over, even though she's like undeniably gorgeous. They fixed it. Her next movie was The Craft. In The Craft, they let her be hot, thankfully. But anyway, and then she go on. She did Prison Break. She did some TV. I don't know her or anything. I haven't been in the same room as her in 40 years or so. But I wish her luck. And she was, neighborhood girl doing good. Robin Tunney. Born on this day in 1972. Born on this day 6 years later, 1978, an icon. Build him a statue. They already did. Dirk Nowitzki. Happy birthday, Dirk. Big German. Born on this day in 1978. When I moved back to Chicago, I remember being in a bar. We were watching a Bulls game. And the subject of me having just come back from Dallas was at hand. And they were talking about Dirk Nowitzki. And respect. I mean, these Midwestern NBA East Chicago Bulls fans are like talking very reverentially about Dirk Nowitzki. But then the conversation kind of spurred into this greatest white basketball player ever. And it's funny, and I wonder how people in Dallas see this differently, because it was among those people up there. And they were also of a certain age. They were my age and older. But it was all unanimous. They're like, Larry Bird, what are you kidding me? Dirk's not better than Larry. Dirk's not better than Larry. I wonder how that debate would go in a Dallas bar. I mean, look, championships and all that kind of stuff being what they are. I mean, just play in and play out. Who was better, Larry Bird or Dirk Nowitzki? I don't know. Dirk won me over. When I first came to this town, Dirk was kind of like a gawky young player. And they're like, he's going to be something. He's a German sensation. And I'm like, yeah, okay, right. Because the world needs another Detlef Schrempf. But he won me over. I mean, Dirk is the third best basketball player I've ever seen with my own eyes. Consistently. So best, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen are poor Scottie. Scottie gets lost in the shadow of Michael Jordan, but I remember the season when Michael wasn't there, and it was just Scottie's show, and we turned to each other and went, holy fuck, we got Dr. J now. This is unbelievable. Dirk Nowitzki, happy birthday, big German. Certainly the best European player of all time, best foreign player of all time. Now we're talking Yao Ming. Now we got to consider Yao. Who knows what we'll be saying about Luka when all is said and done. Luka ain't dirt, though. I'm sorry. Unless Luka undergoes a very serious change, Luka will not be Dirk Nowitzki. I should amend that. Luka will not be Luka will not be to Dallas what Dirk Nowitzki is, which I guess is a completely different conversation because Dirk stayed here his whole career, and I don't anticipate that. I don't trust Luka. I'm sorry. I know I don't have this blinders on about the Mavericks the way I do about my Bulls. I have blinders on about my Bulls. Lonzo Ball's going to come back better than ever, and we're going to win the championship next year. Right? That's my stupid Bulls. Luka's not going to be here. I don't think he's going to stay here. Luka seems like the type that wants to fly too close to the sun. And by that, I think he wants New York, or I think he wants Los Angeles. I think he wants, stardom, which I say fly too close to the sun because Luka is not built for New York media. No. We'll see. Anyway, Dirk Nowitzki, certainly my favorite. You know what Dirk Nowitzki is? My favorite basketball player of all time. There you go. It's my favorite. It's not the best. It's my favorite, though. Yeah. Don't get me talking about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's a disappointment as a human being. Michael Jordan is just, I love him, but he's not. I'll put it to you this way about Michael Jordan for all of us kids who grew up at a certain time in Chicago. Michael Jordan will never be what Walter Payton is to us. Never. He won't. Not the same kind of person. Not the same kind of human. Like the NBA isn't going to create an award for its best citizen called the Michael Jordan Award. That is not going to happen. The NFL did that because Walter was a fucking baller of a human being. And so is Dirk, is my point. All right, there we go. Thank you. Born on this day in 1983. How about Macklemore? My favorite Irish. What's his name? Dustin Haggerty? What is Macklemore's real name? I know it's Haggerty. I know it's he's one of my sons. My son and my favorite Macklemore songs is what is it? That's the Irish song that he does. It's an Irish hip hop song with bagpipes and fiddles and stuff, and it's really cool. That's Macklemore. It's really cool. But we like that song. That's a good one. And he talks about his Haggerty roots. His name is Haggerty. Anyway, moving on. Happy birthday, Macklemore. I like you. I don't really know what happened? Where you at? Is Macklemore hot or cold? I'm not really plugged into the hip-hop world. I know that he was super hot around the time of... The man single-handedly reinvented thrift store shopping. He was hot. And now I guess I don't really hear much about him anymore. But happy birthday, Macklemore. Born on this day in 1983. Born on this day in 1984. Here's a terrific young actor, Paul Dano. Paul Dano's a great actor. Totally forgettable. Now, how does that sometimes mean that you're a great actor? Because actors are supposed to disappear into the roles. They're not supposed to be remembered. The role, the character is supposed to be remembered, not the actor. And that is something that is a curse or a blessing or whatever, however you choose to look at it. That is something that Paul Dano, the actor, carries around with him. Because that son of a bitch disappears into every role. I'll give you a great example. My favorite Paul Dano role, he did a movie that a lot of people didn't see. But if you love music and music history and the real stories behind the scenes, Paul Dano did a movie with John Cusack a couple of years ago where they both play Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys at different stages of Brian Wilson's life. Paul Dano plays in the studio genius mental breakdown Brian Wilson. John Cusack plays 1980s 50-something dealing with his mental issues while, processing that he is one of the most iconic songwriters in history. That's such a good movie. I don't know what it's called. It wasn't a bomb. It was like an art house film. It was like something that wasn't released. It's so good. And Paul Dano is so good. April says Paul Dano is Roaring Kitty is the only way I'll remember him. I don't know what Roaring Kitty is. Oh, yes, I do. You're right. He is terrific in that as well. That movie about is that the GameStop movie? You're absolutely right. That's a recent one from just this past year. Paul Dano was great in that Roaring Kitty movie. I can't remember the name of the Brian Wilson biography. Anyway, we're going to move on. We're not going to get derailed. We're going to go on our next segment here. We got our deaths, quarter 3. Let's talk about people who died. Let's talk about people who died. We open up their life's resume and decide if they went to heaven or hell. First and foremost, dead on this day in 1937, J.M. Barrie. J.M. Barrie. J.M. Barrie is going straight to hell. Here's why. J.M. Barrie he wrote Peter Pan. He wrote Peter Pan when he was a grown-ass man. That's why he's going to hell. Think about it. Connect the dots. Come on. I don't need to be that vulgar at noon 58. Dead on this day in 1975. Oh, here's one I could sink my teeth into. I can talk about this guy. I like this guy. I know a lot about this guy. This guy's a fascinating figure to me. Anyway, dead on this day in the year 1975. One bullet, back of the head, kitchen, Oak Park, Illinois. Oak Park, Illinois. Kitchen of his basement, Oak Park, Illinois. Kitchenette, I guess, is what it was. He's making some breakfast. He's got a smoke hanging out of his lip. He's about to flip the omelet. Boom! Takes one right to the back of the head. Dead on this day in 1975. The boss of the outfit, Sam Giancana. Momo Giancana. One of the most powerful men in the history of the American mafia. Momo Giancana. Whether you're talking Cuban Missile Crisis, Bay of Pigs, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, or the election that supposedly got the union workers to rig it for JFK, you're talking Sam Giancana. You're talking about Judith Exner. Judith Exner was Sam Giancana's girlfriend, his mistress. Judith Exner was also John F. Kennedy's mistress. Okay, coincidence? Sam Momo Giancana. I created a TV show. I wrote a pilot script for it and everything, and it's called The Outfit. And it basically tells the story. I'm doing it now because I'm telling you, when I die, when my son cracks open my Google Drive and sees all these things, he's going to be like, holy shit. God damn. He wasn't just watching TV and jerking off. Anyway, I got a TV show called The Outfit, and it tells the story of the Chicago outfit between the years 1965, which is essentially, in the midst of the whole Kennedy assassination wake. Starts in 1965 and goes to about 1980. And why? Because those were the decline years. I want to tell the story of the decline of Capone's family. The decline of the Capone family, which happened over that 15-year period, Sam Giancana being the last truly great boss, even though he wasn't in total command because Tony Accardo outlived him and Tony Accardo was the real boss. Sam was just the street boss. Sam Giancana, straight to hell. Brutal murderer, crazy. He's a mad dog. He climbed up the ranks of the Chicago outfit like no guy before him to get to the very top. Why? Because he killed everybody in his wake. Sam Momo Giancana, dead on this day in 1975 and went straight to hell. Dead on this day in 1986, and we'll talk about it, but he ain't going to hell. He's going, you know what? Why do we even need to talk about it? He's going to heaven. Len Bias died on this day in 1975. Why is he going to hell? Pugs, what? Just some dumb athlete did a bunch of blow-on draft night? Because I have compassion for young kids who are celebrating and it gets out of hand. What? Because he was excited and partying with his college friends on the night that he was drafted into the NBA by the Boston Celtics. The night that he was drafted, he decides to celebrate with his friends and they do a little cocaine, and the cocaine he does kills him. Dude, I've gone out and celebrated and partied with friends, and there's nothing to make this demonization of the idea. Well, he was a dirty drug user. No, he wasn't. He was a kid who all of his dreams had just come true, and he was having fun with his college friends who he might never see again. That's who he was. Len Bias was a tragedy. He was a great basketball player. Who knows what his career would have been, but he was a highly thought of ball player at that time. And now let's flip the script. Imagine you're a Boston Celtics fan. This is 1986. You still got Bird. I think you still got Parrish and McHale. You still got oh my God, you're still the Celtics. It's 1986. And Len Bias, your new guy coming in, your number one, and there he goes. And he dies. He dies. You wake up the day after draft day learning that the guy your team drafted died overnight. Oh my God. You don't get another pick. They're not like, go ahead, take another one. That's a mulligan. Len Bias, putting him in heaven, because that's a sad story of unfulfilled promise. And he didn't die in a liquor store robbery. So come on, man, the guy died on the night that all of his dreams come. You have to have some semblance of understanding, compassion, and context for what that is. That is just a tragedy. That is just a sad thing that happened. I also think of Ben Wilson, which was another one. Ben Wilson was the nation's #1 ranked high school basketball player. He played for Simeon, I believe. South side of Chicago. Maybe King? Simeon? I think it was Simeon. #1 ranked. Nike All-America, the greatest whatever. Walking home from school. Hard streets. Bump shoulders with somebody. What are you looking at? I'm not looking at nothing. What are you looking at, tough guy? And all of a sudden, the nation's #1 high school basketball player is lying dead in a puddle of his own blood at 111th and Vincennes or wherever it happened. It happened somewhere over there. Anyway, there you go. Len Bias. Here's another one. Wow, we're talking a lot of basketball. Here's another guy that I am preemptively putting into heaven. Dead on this day in 2010, Manute Bol. Manute Bol, Sudanese-American basketball player and activist. He died very young. Died in 2010. Broke. Penniless. Another one of these NBA players don't know how to handle their money, huh? These dumbasses. How much money did he make? And he died broke? Makes me feel better. Manute Bol died broke, not because he blew all of his NBA money on hookers and sports cars. Manute Bol died broke because he took all of his NBA money and tried to build schools for the people of the Sudan. And while he was trying to do that, there was another faction in the country that decided that they didn't want people educated. They didn't want Manute Bol's plan was to educate the people of the Sudan, where he came from, educate, build schools, all this money. He was a global badass in this regard. This is what he did. He was an ambassador. He was a diplomat. He worked tirelessly for his people of Sudan, sinking his own money into endless schools. But guess what happened? Once he started building all of these schools in the Sudan, there was another faction that didn't want these people educated. They don't want an educated, and a civil war started. So that Manute Bol had to, take loans. The dude mortgaged a home and lost a home because he was buying rations for the Sudanese military. Yeah, so fuck you and anyone who wants to talk shit about Manute Bol. That son of a bitch put his money exactly where his heart and soul was. He's going to heaven. Fucking Saint Manute Bol, honestly. Fall into a bunny hole about Manute Bol and his life and what he did. Manute Bol should be a goddamn cartoon characters that we force kids to watch in kindergarten. I'm telling you. About some gentle giant who's cursed with this freakish, what was he, 7'10"? I don't know. Manute Bol was big and skinny. Born on this day, dead on this day in 2010. Here's another one, preemptively. We're going to heaven just because of what he meant to me. I just absolutely love this guy. Just love him. And not because of his signature role, but just because in everything else that I've ever seen about him, any interview I've ever seen with him, people I know who have met him, who I'm always like, what's he like? What's he like in real life? He was so charismatic. He had something. There was an X factor there that whenever this guy was on screen, I was glued to whatever his character was about to do. And it started long before I knew who he was. I first noticed him in a really freaky Nick Cage movie called 8mm about like smut films and like whatever. I don't know. James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano, died on this day in 2013. He's going to heaven. That's weird. Isn't that weird? See, we're putting this together. Yesterday was the anniversary of the death of his mother, the woman who played his mother, Nancy Marchand, who, only to complicate things, is also having a birthday today, but let's disregard that. Yesterday, Livia Soprano, in real life, died. It's the anniversary of her death. Today, Tony Soprano died. Jeez Louise. But I'm like AJ or Junior. Junior's still alive, right? Is Junior Soprano, is that? I'm going to say yeah. Junior's still alive. Tomorrow's a scary day if you're an old Sopranos person. You're like, we're gonna, let's see, is another one gonna die 3 days in a row? Janice, what's Janice getting into? James Gandolfini, he's in heaven, dead on this day in 2013. Dead on this day in 2014, Jerry Goffin, songwriter. Jerry Goffin had a couple of careers here, let me just run through some of these songs. Jerry Goffin was a songwriting machine back in the day. He began with his wife at the time, Carole King, Jerry Goffin, Goffin King. They wrote like every hit song of the 1960s that came out of New York. And I make that qualifier because there were also British music, but still in New York, the pop center of America was New York. The Brill Building, to be more exact. The Brill Building was a building in downtown Manhattan that was just filled with young songwriters. Everybody. Oh my God, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Songwriter Hall of Fame, the R&B Hall of Fame, whatever it is, they're filled with people who were in those offices back in this time. Jerry Goffin was one of them. Let's see. Let's go to his discography, where we'll go through some of his songs here. Hit songs. My God, come on, Jerry Goffin. Albums, singles, and EPs. Let's do singles and EPs, right? List of songs. Okay, here you go. That's what we want. List of songs written by Jerry Goffin. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. Oh, okay, so just out of the box, his first hit is the timeless "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow" by the Shirelles. All right. Then he followed that up with "Some Kind of Wonderful," a song that has been originally wrote for the Drifters, but has been recorded by half a dozen bands. You're some kind of wonderful. Let's see, what else did he do here? In 1962? Keep your hands off my... The Locomotion! There you go. He did The Locomotion in 1962. He hit me "Go Away Little Girl," 1962. "Up on the Roof," 1962. He had a lot of hits in 1962. "Hey Girl," 1962. "One Fine Day," 1963. One Fine Day. He's got a couple here that are just absolute timeless bangers. "I'm Into Something Good," 1964. "Oh No, Not My Baby." I think that's a hit, maybe. I don't know. What else do we have here? What else did he write? Okay, so let's get out of the 60s, because a lot of these... "Pleasant Valley Sunday," he wrote in 1968 for the Monkees. "You Make Me Feel." You make me feel. "Natural Woman." Holy fuck. He wrote that for Aretha Franklin. Think about that. The song "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman" was written by the very heterosexual, at least the words were written by the very heterosexual Jerry Goffin. You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. What else do we have? Okay, so now we're in the 70s. Hold on. I'm just running through these. He's got a lot of hits. I know I'm not. The theme from Mahogany. I don't know if you remember that one. That was a huge hit. Do you know where you're going to? Do you love? He wrote a lot of stuff for chicks. That was a big hit for Diana Ross. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? He wrote "Saving All My Love" by Whitney Houston. Oh, this dude's going to heaven, right? I mean, come on. That dude wrote a lot of songs. Jerry Goffin goes to heaven. We're putting him in there. He wrote "Natural Woman" and "Saving All My Love" and "One Fine Day" and, I don't know, something else. There was another big one that I mentioned. Mahogany. Do you know where you're going to? That's a pretty song. I mean, not really my cup of tea, but you get it. You know. Jerry Goffin going to heaven. Dead on this day in 2016, Anton Yelchin. He's going to heaven. Nobody dies the way Anton Yelchin dies and goes to hell. He was called home. That was a specific deal. God decided, I need this one right now for personal business. And Anton Yelchin, the young actor who played, He was Bones, right? Or was he Scotty? In the new Star Trek movies, he was the star. He played Bones or Scotty or whatever. Anyway, remember how he died? He was pulling out of his house there in California. And he had one of these electric power gates. And he pulled through and the gate wasn't working and there was some problem with the gate or something. And he got out of his Jeep and the Jeep was parked in the gateway. He got out of his Jeep for a split second while the gate was open to grab some mail. There was a mailbox right next to the gate. And as he was reaching for the mail, the gate started to close and he got smashed to death between the gate and his Jeep Wrangler. Yeah, God wanted him for something. If there is a God, and I'm not sure about that, but I'll play that game. If there is a God, God wanted him for something. That is not a norm. That's how precious life is. That's why I yell at you people all the time. Stop it. Your next breath could be your last. So the next time you encounter somebody, keep that in mind. Do you want the last thing you do to be an asshole? No, I don't think you do. Because I know that you are good at heart. Also, dead. Oh, here's another one going to heaven. We'll put him in heaven as well. Dead on this day in 2017, Otto Warmbier. Oh, poor kid. North Korea, remember him? American college student, went over there doing some stupid shit that American college kids do. They torture him. He got sick. Something bad happened. He was in a decline. We wouldn't talk to the North Koreans to get him back. It was just a mess. Poor kid. Yeah, he's a dumb kid doing dumb kid stuff. That's not how he was brought back a vegetable. Do you remember that when the North Koreans finally gave us Otto Warmbier back? Those were very, I don't want to talk about it, but those were some very ugly times. Well, a lot of people said some shit because of what they heard on like Fox News or whatever that I hope you fucking feel bad about now. Because now that history knows what really happened there, how can you not feel compassion for a dumb kid doing something that dumb kids do? I mean, I don't know that we should have changed any kind of foreign policy that we hold towards North Korea in order to get them back, but my God. That's a far cry from openly going, he was a fucking traitor, screw that guy, which is what a lot of people were saying. It's like, what, really? Holy fuck. You just shared a picture of his mom crying, and you're like saying that? What kind of a fucking garbage human? All right, let's move on. That's going to do it. Once again, we want to say thank you to our executive producer of this day's show, Terry S. Having a Terry S. is the reason this show exists. See, yesterday he tipped. The person who tips on the previous day's show will be the executive producer of the next day. Now, I sometimes qualify that with the person who tips the most, but ain't nobody tipping lately, so you're pretty much guaranteed and would sure be appreciated. If you want to do that, there you go, right there. That's how you do it. Venmo and PayPal. No, not PayPal. I'm just going to change that. I'm just going to change it. Why haven't I changed it? Why haven't I changed it? The PayPal doesn't work for me. Oh, God, I got money in my PayPal that I could really use right now. I mean, not a lot, but all right, there we go. Now it's fixed. Did I fix it or did I do something wrong there? Anybody in the chat room that I need to say hi to that popped in while I was ranting on any number of stupid issues? All right, let's go into quarter four. Let's talk about all the things that are happening in today's world, the big headlines. First, we'll start out with weather. We got weather. We got weather. We got the West Coast is on fire. We got heat waves throughout the Midwest, same as yesterday. Heat waves. But now we got tropical storm warnings here in Texas. Yay! Because is it Alberto? They're like calling it. They're saying it will. Yeah, it will be. They're calling. Oh, here's how they're describing it: tropical storm, soon to be Alberto, ravishes Gulf Coast. Okay, so soon to be Alberto. That's because that means because it's not a hurricane yet. But when it is a hurricane, it's going to get the name. And they're already like, he's going to be Alberto. They are ginning us up. This thing could spin out. It could be nothing. But they're already calling it soon to be Alberto. Oh, fuck you. It's a tropical storm. There's a reason we don't give names to tropical storms, because it's just weather. Because it happens regularly. It'll rain a little bit harder than normal. It's a tropical storm, but it doesn't rise to the level of hurricane yet. So stop, when reporting this, stop calling it soon to be Alberto, because you don't know that. You don't know that. You're just trying to gin us up a little bit more. It's going to be bad. They're saying it's going to be bad. It's soon to be Alberto. Fuck you. Yeah, I'm salty today. All right, let's keep going. How about this? What else do we got? What's the next big story? North Korea and Russia. Holy shit. Like, we need these two canoodle. I don't give a shit. But really, that's the best you can do? Is that the best you can do, Russia? Really, Russia? You're coming to the party with North Korea, the hermit kingdom, a country that only exists because China allows it to exist. Now, I noticed, Russia, you didn't sign a deal with China. That would scare the fuck out of us, and rightfully so, because we don't need Russia and China teaming up, because China is formidable. Although China has its own problems, they are still formidable in a military scenario. But that's not who Putin got. Putin got China's retarded little brother, North Korea. So everybody's like, oh, Russia and North Korea are friends. Yeah, they also got their other idiot cousin, Iran. That's it. I like my odds. Let's go. Let's start this thing right now. I like my odds, Russia. Russia, North Korea, and Iran. All right. Hell, we're going to send Canada in first, just so you guys can get an idea of, incremental. We'll send Canada in. They'll probably beat Canada. I mean, Russia will beat Canada. What about NATO? Fuck you. Fiercest fighting force on the planet. You want to go? You want to go, Russia? Because that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about you, North Korea, and Iran versus NATO. Like I said, I likes my odds. Putin over there shaking hands with Kim. Oh. Hey, only one other world politician has done that. Only one other. Anyway, there you go. I'm just pointing it out. I'm just pointing it out. They're called the Hermit Kingdom for a reason, because the rest of the world went, yeah, they're fucking nuts. We can't deal with them. And then China's like, yeah, just leave them alone, right? I know, they're difficult, but I've known them a long time. Honestly, this is how China explains North Korea to the rest of the world. Like, China shows up at the party. Like, you ever done that? You ever gone to a party and your friend brings his, like, ridiculous cousin? And it's just like, what is he doing here? And like, so this is how China has to explain North Korea to the rest. China doesn't love North Korea. China, here's what happened with China. China was going out, and North Korea was visiting from Ohio. And China's mom said, you need to take your cousin North Korea to the party. And that's the whole reason that North Korea even exists. That's it. Don't come at me with, you should be scared because Russia and North Korea are friends now. Fuck, they don't have any choice. They're the only friends they could possibly have. What? Stop it. Wake me when he's, when Putin's meeting, and signing deals and mutual protection orders, which is what I guess he did. I guess he signed. I guess this is the deal between North Korea and Russia is that Russia's like, hey, if we're attacked, you're gonna have our back, right? And North Korea's like, yeah, sure, from all the way over here, no worries. That's really what this is about. Putin needs somebody. I think he's got Iran, right? I don't know if that's been papered, as they say, and made official, but we know he's got Iran. They've got a thing going. Iran's already got the majority of all of the Russian missiles that are fired on Ukraine are from Iran. So, I mean, we know Iran's got their back. Anyway, moving on. All right, let's move on to Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, his troubles are beginning again. Can I just ask you fucking people, I don't give a shit if you're a Trump guy. That's fine. I don't care. I don't care if you're a Biden guy. I don't give a shit about that either. I think they're both a couple of clowns, but okay. Who Are you someone who looks at Matt Gaetz and goes, oh, yeah, that guy seems like he's got my best interest at heart? I mean, we don't have to worry about it because he's a jerk squat panhandle congressman who has absolutely no power, but he's loud and he's dumb. And what do we know about loud and dumb in Congress? They get the TV cameras. Fucking Jack, I guess some dude that like 1,500 people in Jacksonville decided like he's going to start creating policy for me. I don't fucking think so. But more to the point. How do you people not look at Matt Gaetz and go, that fucking guy looks like a dick. That guy looks like every jerk from a John Hughes movie. Everybody who ever told Ducky in Pretty in Pink that he wasn't welcome at the party looks like fucking Matt Gaetz. That's not why he's in the news. Anyway, he's a very wealthy Silver Spoon country club boy from Jacksonville who is somehow convinced the absolute lowest, the worst people. He's just convinced the absolute worst people that he's like got their best interest at heart. He's not. He's a bad guy. He's a flim-flam man. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody. He does except himself and building up his empire because, you know, he seems to come from a fairly corrupt area. My point is this. Investigators have now interviewed at least a half dozen women who allegedly attended parties where Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz was present and who were all paid by Joel Greenberg. This is the Greenberg story. Greenberg was Gates' best buddy. Greenberg is in prison for 11 years for underage sex and paying for prostitutes and misappropriation of funds. Whole bunch of things. Greenberg's a real sleazeball. He's Matt Gaetz' best friend. Matt Gaetz has, for a long time now, since the Greenberg thing was going on, has been linked to this whole thing, although nothing is stuck and whatever. Let's all move on. I don't give a shit. Although apparently now there's new stuff because a whole bunch of girls are coming forward now and they're talking about it. Gaetz' one-time close friend, Greenberg, was sentenced in 2022 to 11 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to multiple charges, including sex trafficking of a minor and introducing the minor to other adult men. That's where the Matt Gaetz things come in, because Matt Gaetz apparently paid him a sum of money on multiple occasions commensurate with what you'd pay for a prostitute. Venmo. Remember the Matt Gaetz Venmo thing? I don't give a shit if Matt Gaetz is getting prostitutes. You think that's shocking to me? I assume they're all getting prostitutes all the time. That's how Washington runs. Prostitutes. Everybody's wife is back home, you know, in the Ohio 3rd, while, you know, the husband is like, you know, banging some 22-year-old Georgetown grad student for $500 a leg. So I don't give a shit about the prostitutes. I just don't like the guy. So anything bad that happens to him, I'm all for. Jesse Waters and Matt Gaetz have the two most punchable faces I have ever seen. How do you not want to fucking break their nose bone? Both of them. How do you look at these smug, rich, Silver Spoon country club stuck-up pieces of fucking human trash and not want to break their jaw? Jesse Waters and Matt Gaetz. Two most punchable faces in the world. Who else has a punchable face? Tell me, who else has a punchable face? You look at, oh, you know who else has kind of a punchable face? And I hate this because this kind of is bordering on elder abuse, but Chuck Schumer, I would love to pop him in the face. He's got like the face of a guy who's just, you know, gleeful in giving you the worst news possible. He looks like a doctor who relishes telling his patients that the cancer is back. Let's talk about Stonehenge. A bunch of idiots did some idiotic stuff out at Stonehenge. And of course, a bunch of emotional babies are freaking out about it online because they can't handle it. There should be a death penalty for this, people are saying. A couple of climate weirdos apparently attacked Stonehenge today with paint bombs or paint spray. They sprayed Stonehenge down with orange paint, excuse me. This is what happens when you talk like this. The stream of consciousness, you get a disruption in the flow, and sometimes you got to burp. Sorry. This is an unnatural way for a human to communicate. 2 hours of nonstop talking. Here we go. This is a picture of our, not a picture. Here's a video. We got video. We got multiple videos of what those people were doing. Maybe we should just go. You know what? I'm thinking maybe we should just go to Twitter and scroll the Stonehenge thing because there's a whole bunch of videos from different. Stonehenge, as we all know, Stonehenge is in England, Scotland. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's like on the border. Let's say it's on the border of England and Scotland, and it's where the Pilgrims left from. I believe we know Plymouth Rock is where the Pilgrims ended. I believe it was Stonehenge where they first came. Oh yeah, here you go. Here's some video. All right, so here, these are the idiots. This is Stonehenge today. Never been to Stonehenge. I'd like to go to Stonehenge. And what's the drive? What's the drive? Like if I'm in London, right? Because you go to England, you're like, let's go to Stonehenge. If I'm in London, like, what is the drive to Stonehenge? Is it like 8 hours? Is there anything in England that's 8 hours? Is England a country that is large enough to have an 8-hour car trip? I don't know. I'm not sure. Is it like 8 hours or is it like 45 minutes outside of London? Because if Stonehenge is like 45 minutes outside of London, I'm like, let's go. Let's go to Stonehenge. Let's check that out. But if it's like 8 hours and it's going to wreck an entire day just to see something that I can see, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how big of a draw Stonehenge is for me. Anyway, look at these idiots. This is what was going on out there in Stonehenge today. Oh, this poor guy. The one dude. I don't know if this is an actual like worker. Like, do they have park rangers at Stonehenge? If it was America, they would. I don't know what this guy is that just ran into the scene. I don't know what his job is. Maybe he's a descendant of druids. Who knows? But he's there. He's on the scene and he's putting himself. You wouldn't see this at a Walgreens. If a dude walked into Walgreens and stole all the laundry detergent, he'd walk right past the security guard. Security guard wouldn't do anything. This is what happens in Stonehenge. Look at this. Here he comes. There's the other guy. No, cut it out. Knock it off. Hey, stop it. Stop it. So, we all know what Stonehenge is. I mean, I don't actually, if we're being, true to what Stonehenge is, I don't think anybody knows what Stonehenge is, but it's an ancient rock formation created by the Druids. Some believe it's a calendar. Some believe it's a space porthole. You can guess who I think the the normal people are, but there's a lot of shit about Stonehenge. It's a very mystical place. It's been around forever. We got shit here. Why? Okay, all right. So Stonehenge is really famous, but okay. So what's older, the pyramids or Stonehenge? Quick, for $1 million, you got 5 seconds. Which is old? You don't know, do you? It's a guess. I'd say pyramids, but then I'd be like, "No, Stonehenge." I don't know. Anyway, moving on. I don't know how old it, at some point, everything, like the year 1450 and the year 1210 are not even close. Like nobody in 1210 knew anybody in 14. It's not even close. But from my perspective in 2024, they seem like they were around the same time. See? So I have no real perspective on history and what's older. I'd say this a lot with William Shakespeare. For some reason, I can't get this. I don't know. Was William Shakespeare around in the 1300s or was he around in the 1800s? I don't know. Or do we split the difference somewhere? I don't know. Because they were very different times. But to me, in 2024, I look back on them and they's all old timies. Stonehenge. We got any more on Stonehenge? Let's see. We don't need any more. Yeah, it's corn syrup or cornstarch based paint. It's already off. They cleaned it off immediately. It would have come off with the rain, so it's not like they didn't desecrate a 15 billion year old space doorway. No, they didn't do that. They got a lot of attention from you outraged people who got, this video about, 20 million views. Let's kill all of these climate activists. And maybe that was their point. Maybe you fell right into their hands. First of all, it's fucking Stonehenge. Do some of you people honestly think that paint created in the year 2024 could hurt Stonehenge? Like, you don't think Stonehenge in the 15 billion years it's been on this planet, you don't think Stonehenge has gone through worse than a couple of climate activists using cornstarch-based paint to go viral? Stop it. Stop your pearl clutching. Elon Musk is making news today. Says Elon, here's why. He's making news because is it kind of fun? It's kind of interesting when the richest man in the world has to go hat in hand and admit that he's done something wrong. Elon Musk is trending today because 7 months after declaring that advertisers who pulled their ads from his social media platform X could go fuck yourself. Remember when he did that? Remember when he was like a couple of months back, he's sitting at this thing, this symposium, we'll call it, or whatever. He's being one-on-one interviewed. Elon Musk don't do panel. Elon Musk ain't doing panel. Elon Musk is a one-on-one. Come on. You think Trump would do panel? No, it's one-on-one. So at this one-on-one with Elon Musk at this big seminar, he was asked about, advertisers leaving Twitter because of content and all that kind of stuff. And he basically cavalierly turned to the audience of all the advertisers and said, you can go fuck yourself. Because he was Elon Musk and he was feeling himself. Well, 9 months later, Twitter's in the toilet, Tesla's in the toilet. There was a report the other day about how a whole bunch of these boring company projects have totally stalled out. He ain't making any money with SpaceX. He is sinking money into SpaceX. So yeah, like 9 months ago, you're going to be cavalier. He did, however, just get his yearly pay raise. He got a pay raise. His pay raise this year was $56 billion. Yeah, I said billion. Yeah, 56 billion. That was just the pay raise. That's on top of his own salary. It's absurd. We're allowing these people. Anyway, so Elon Musk, after he told the advertising world, go fuck yourselves, man. After he did that, well, today he's back at the big advertising summits. He's there. He's hat in hand. He's doing a one-on-one again in front of the exact same people who we just told to go fuck yourself, and now he's apologizing. 7 months after declaring that advertisers pulling their ads from his social media platform could just go fuck yourself, Elon Musk took a more congenial tone on stage at the advertising industry's most important annual festival. Musk joined Mark Reed, chief executive of ad giant WPR, in a session Wednesday at the Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity in France, a 5-day event that draws thousands of the... Anyway, he apologized. He said, here's how it said. It said, back in November, you had a message for all of us, Elon. You told us to go fuck ourselves. Why did you say that? And what did you mean by that? Musk said that he had not intended the message for advertisers as a whole. Yeah, okay. Right. He apologized. He's whatever. Who cares? Who cares? It is funny, though, that he had to go. Because you think as the richest man in the world, you don't do anything you don't want to do. But there is no advertising on Twitter. There are no what we'll call prestige advertisers on Twitter. Probably not going to be interrupted by, well, actually, I'm trying to think of what is a prestige advertiser now? I'll tell you what, though, if I need a handy dandy do-it-all knife for my next camping trip, I know where to go. Twitter's advertising that shit. Hey, if I want a first month free on OnlyFans, yeah, I know where I can go for that. That's the kind of advertising I get on Twitter. Cheech and Chong, big players. Cheech and Chong are big, but Cheech and Chong weed products are huge players, as far as I can tell, in the Twitter advertising universe. All right, let's do an update here on Justin Timberlake, who was in the news yesterday. We reported that Justin Timberlake got himself a DUI in Sag Harbor, which is in the Hamptons, which just seems so awesome. I just want to go there. So we're getting more details about What went on? I did this whole thing where I imagine what it must be like to be Justin Timberlake home for a couple of days. The tour is going to kick. The tour already going on, or is it? I know he's got a concert Friday night in Chicago. Everybody's anticipating that. How will this DUI affect that concert? Anyway, he's taking a few days to himself. His beautiful wife, Jessica Biel, is in New York City, probably at their fabulous penthouse apartment with her kids. She's shooting a TV show, so that's why she's in New York. Justin's by himself out there at the Hamptons, being Justin Timberlake without anything to do. How fun would that be? How fun would it be to be Justin Timberlake just sitting in his Hamptons place? The wife is gone. The kids are gone. It was cool that he was driving a BMW SUV, though. I imagined he was in some fancy sports car, but it turns out it was just like a mom soccer BMW SUV that he was driving. But he was like, yeah, man, I'm just going to go out. So he goes to this place in Sag Harbor called the American Hotel. Now, I Google mapped it. I went there. I drove around. I looked at it. I walked around. Beautiful. Oh, my God. Boutique, fancy, super rich people hotel right there in Sag Harbor on Long Island in the Hamptons. Goes into the hotel, just starts drinking, just starts partying at the hotel bar. Just like, hey, I'm Justin Timberlake. My wife's out of town. Where would you go? You go to a hotel. You try to find a hot rich girl. Hook up with her. She's got a room. I don't know. That's where my mind went. Because why, if you're Justin Timberlake, why do you drive all the way into town to go to some fancy hotel bar to drink? Isn't there like a Chili's nearby? Wouldn't that be more, if you just want to go out to drink and have, actually, even if you're going out to get laid, to cheat on your wife, which is what I imagine is always somewhere in when you're Justin Timberlake, that's always an option. And when you're married to Justin Timberlake, I have to imagine that you understand this, that he's always got a, 45% chance of cheating on me. Always. That's just always going to be it with him. What are you doing, dog? You want to get out of here? Hold on, the dog is trapped, so we got to move this. So Justin Timberlake decides that he wants to go out. Again, Jessica Biel's in New York with the kids. She's shooting a TV show. He's all alone at the Hamptons house. He picks the Americana Hotel in beautiful Sag Harbor. Drives on down there in his blue BMW minivan. It's not a minivan, but his blue BMW SUV. He drives down there, starts drinking. Now, reports are that he was going hard, telling jokes, being loud. Wonder what's going on with him. I don't know if he is between gigs on this tour, but I know he's got a massive tour, which is funny because one of the things that he muttered while he was being arrested is in the police report. One of the things that he muttered was, "This is going to really fuck up my tour." Nah, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not going to fuck up your tour. This is fun. This is a DUI. You're Justin Timberlake. It doesn't seem like you were violent. You didn't hurt anybody. There's no car accident. And hell, even if there was a car accident, you'd be fine. Just look at Rashee Rice. It's not going to affect your tour. All it's going to do, hey, it told me that you're on tour. I didn't know you were on tour. Now I do. Justin Timberlake was, quote, wasted and drinking other people's drinks at the Fancy Hamptons Hotel before his DWI bust. By the way, Fancy Hamptons Hotel, don't get the wrong idea about this American hotel. It actually looks like an old Wild West saloon. It's in a very old area it's gorgeous because it's the Hamptons. So there's like Tiffany stores and Maserati dealerships everywhere. But the actual buildings are like old and they're not like, this doesn't look like the Waldorf, right? It almost looks like, one of them storefronts, what, in Grapevine, you ever go to Grapevine? They have those like old West kind of storefronts. Anyway, that's what the look of this hotel is. It looks very nice, but it looks very boutique. Like it's probably got 8 rooms and like a really cool bar. And they probably have a really fancy restaurant in there. Anyway, that's what this place seems to be. And that's where he's hanging. Justin Timberlake was wasted before his DWI bust on Tuesday and even picked up someone else's drink from a table and downed it when the owner went to the bathroom. He was wasted. At one point, just before closing, somebody got up to go to the bathroom and he left his drink on the table, the source said of the scene at the posh American Hotel in Sag Harbor. Let's see here. When the man came back from the bathroom, Timberlake was drinking his drink. The guy goes, "Hey, Justin, that's my drink," the source said. All right, that's it. Timberlake, 43, was later stopped by police. That's not that bad. Anything in a vacuum could be made to look bad. Well, but maybe he didn't want it. Maybe he just wanted something to drink. Maybe he didn't order another drink because he's like, I've had enough. I don't want this. But you know what? I got a funny thing in my mouth. And the guy goes to the bathroom, take it to, okay. That's all. You don't know. That's no indication that he was out of control. Timberlake, 43, was later stopped by cops after leaving the establishment and charged with driving while intoxicated and was cited for running a stop sign. He told arresting officers he had just one martini. That ain't true. Nobody has just one martini. If you're drinking martinis, you're drinking plural, okay? Nobody has one martini. Martinis are what you drink when you're drinking. Are you drinking tonight? Can I get you a martini? No, I'm not drinking tonight. Give me a beer. Give me a glass of wine. That's what a martini is. Nobody has one martini. Okay, I'll have one martini. Martinis are like pure alcohol. Like straight vodka, straight gin, however you want it. Martinis are baller, is what I'm saying. Martinis are going to fuck you up. I just had one martini. Nobody has one martini. If you're going to a place where you're just going to have one drink, that's when you have a beer or a glass of wine. You don't have one martini. It's like you don't have one shot of Jaeger. Nobody's like, I had one shot. I went out and all I had was one shot of Jaeger. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You had about 10 beers before you got to that one shot of Jaeger. Stop it. And then that one shot of Jaeger, you're right, one shot of Jaeger, because it was followed by 5 shots of Rumpelmints. Timberlake was stopped by police. He told his officer that he had one martini and that he was in the process of following his friends home. He did refuse. Now, this was something we talked about yesterday. I said, why did he blow? I hope he didn't blow. Justin Timberlake's got to know better than to blow. Apparently, he performed a couple field sobriety challenges, the little game show that cops like to put drunks through on the side of the road. So apparently, he refused 3 times to take a breathalyzer test. And that's more like it. That's more like it. These guys know, celebrities, movie stars, anybody who has constant access to like attorneys and, all of that kind of stuff, they know. You get a DUI, you don't take the breathalyzer. Why would you do that? Why would you give them evidence? They already think you're drunk. Let them go with that into court. I think he's drunk, officer. And then let them have no evidence. But no, you're gonna like take the test. I think I could beat it. I don't believe in this witchcraft of breathalyzers. Really? Breathalyzer? Never take it. It's good to see that he didn't take it. He told arresting officers that he just one martini and that he was following his friends home after refusing 3 breathalyzers. The married dad of 2 was wearing white. Now let's hear what he's wearing. The married dad of 2 was wearing white Nike Air Force sneakers as he attempted to pass field sobriety tests. So he did a couple. Okay, so he wasn't completely obstinate. He was whatever. Sure. You want me to do these? That's good. You can do those because those are debatable. Like, if you feel like you can do a walk the line test or a stand on 1 foot test or something, if you feel like you can perform that without it being obvious that you're fucked up, then go ahead and do that because that shows that you're willing to work with them. And that's debatable. Like, they'll watch that tape in court and they'll be like, I don't know, does he seem drunk? He's okay, right? He seems okay. That's why you do a couple of those things. But you do not give him any solid evidence like a breathalyzer or a blood. Nope. You better tie me down, knock me out, and steal my blood, son of a bitch. Some judge, they do that sometimes. Remember? Well, actually, Texas tried to do that a bunch of years ago and then can't do that anymore. Although I do think that there is a variant of, they would get a judge to work a DUI checkpoint and the judge would sit in the back seat of a car. And when somebody wouldn't give a breathalyzer, they would go to the judge and they'd say, we need a warrant to take his blood. And the judge who was there would go, and then he just hold you down and take your blood. That's fucking America. Holy shit. Arrest me. Get me off the road right now. But don't fucking take my blood because you're gaming the system by having a judge stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning. The cops who pulled Timberlake over. Okay, so this is interesting, right? So what happens when you pull over Justin Timberlake? Don't you go, hey, JT? That's what I was wondering. The cop who pulled him over was too young to recognize the former boy band star or even know his name. God, that's got to hurt Justin Timberlake. Oh. Like, at some point, Justin Timberlake probably felt like, does this guy not know who I am? Like, he hasn't even said it. Hey, Justin, where you been? Nothing like that. Like, at some point, that must have gotten to Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake needs to do more movies. He needs to do more movies. He needs to be more high profile again. He hasn't been high profile in a while. I know he's got the new album and the new tour and all that stuff, but movies, that's where he's got to go to be high profile. Timberlake said under his breath at one point, this is going to ruin the tour. Au contraire, mon frère. No, I didn't even know you had a tour until this DUI. So it didn't ruin the tour. I'm like, are they coming to Dallas? I would totally see JT. Didn't even know. The world's most valuable company. We have a new world's most valuable company. And let's all hail the world's new most valuable company. And it's just perfect for the world we live in. Microsoft. Microsoft was the world's most valuable company. And we know what Microsoft does. Microsoft does computer stuff, computers and computer stuff, right? We have an idea of what Microsoft does. Microsoft has been surpassed yesterday in a massive stock rally for the world's new number one company. And I don't have a fucking clue what it does, which is scary. Scary. The world's number one, NVIDIA. NVIDIA, ladies and gentlemen. NVIDIA's 591,078% rally to most valuable stock came in waves over a few-year period. The year was 1999. Steve Jobs had recently returned to lead Apple. Intel was the dominant force in semiconductors, and a little-known chip maker named NVIDIA made its debut on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. Let's go back, shall we? So that's what they are. They're chip makers. It took less than 3 years for NVIDIA to ascend into the S&P 500, replacing the disgraced oil trading conglomerate Enron, no less. But even then, few people would have bet that the company would go on to become the best performing stock of the past quarter century, posting a total return. It doesn't matter. NVIDIA, which makes the cutting-edge chips powering new technology, is now the single biggest winner of this tech boom. On Tuesday, that run culminated in NVIDIA unseating Microsoft as the world's most valuable company. Who owns NVIDIA? Who's the guy? Microsoft, we know it's Bill Gates. You talked about Apple there. We know that was Jobs. How about Bezos? He's got Amazon. Sure, we know all of these guys. Who the fuck runs NVIDIA? All right. Now I got to look up NVIDIA. I don't know what it is. Scary, though. I feel, I want to go back to the times when, like, Sears Roebuck was like the world. When GE, sure, they made the napalm that killed all those children in Vietnam, but GE also made toasters. I mean, I knew what they did. I have no idea what NVIDIA is getting into. No clue. All right, let's keep looking here. What else do we have? What's happening in the world today? Oh, this is a fun story. This is a fun story. And I don't know if it's a fun story. It's actually a story that kind of pisses me off because I got to say, I really want to see this movie. So there's this new Trump movie called The Apprentice. We've talked about it. The Apprentice, it stars Sebastian Stan, who just recently played Tommy Lee in the Pamela and Tommy Lee movie. So the guy who played Tommy Lee 2 years ago is now playing Donald Trump, which I'll tell you this. If Sebastian Stan pulls it off, dude, that's some acting chops. That is some real range. Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier from the Marvel movies. Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier. You're telling me he's going to play Tommy Lee, and then a couple of years later, he's going to play Donald Trump? You're out of your mind. Anyway, the movie The Apprentice looks good. What it does is it takes a look at the relationship between Donald Trump in the 1970s into the 1980s, Donald Trump and Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn is Donald Trump's mentor. That should be very concerning if you know who Roy Cohn is. I do. It's one of the reasons why I have never liked Donald Trump. But, mainstream pedestrian conversational history has lost sight of who Roy Cohn was. But okay, so the movie stars Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump, as the student, and it stars Jeremy Strong from Succession. He plays Kendall. Oh, he's so good. He plays Roy Cohn, the mentor, in the teacher-student story, The Apprentice, which is about, and another apprentice, another understudy of Roy Cohn back in these days, is a lifelong friend of Donald Trump. His name is Roger Stone. So I don't know who will be playing Roger Stone, a young Roger Stone, in the movie The Apprentice. But anyway, it just looks to be very interesting. It's the origin story of what being a New York real estate mogul in the 1970s and the 1980s, how he built the companies, the bankruptcies, the divorces, the women, all of that stuff. But most notably about the cornerstone relationship with Roy Cohn, who died of AIDS in the 1980s because he was gay. He was a gay. Well, I bet he knew Jeffrey Epstein. Let's put it that way when talking about Roy Cohn, Donald Trump's mentor. Okay? Dude, look him up. I don't give a fuck that you don't know who he is. Look him up. Look up Roy Cohn. Learn a little something about this monster from American history. Jeremy Strong is playing him in this movie. It's going to be incredible because Kendall from Succession is a great role. The character popped, and it popped, I'm convinced, entirely because Jeremy Strong is one of the great actors of his generation. So I'm very excited about this movie. It might be terrible. Like I might watch it and in 10 minutes I'm going, oh, this is just a hack job. This is just a political partisan hack job thing. But if it is actually a story about Roy Cohn and Donald Trump and all those times, then I'm interested in that. But if it turns out to just be a hack job, which I fear it might be. Anyway, point is this. We may never get to see that movie, The Apprentice. May never get to see it. Might end up being shelved. It'll end up being like the Jerry Lewis film, The Day the Clown Cried. Do you guys know about that story? Do you guys know about that from history? So Jerry Lewis was a drug addict in like the 1960s and 70s, and he had a lot of power because he was Jerry Lewis, and the studios let him do anything. So Jerry Lewis made a movie, an epic. Like Jerry Lewis, do people realize this about Jerry Lewis? He was a pretty great director, writer, filmmaker. Jerry Lewis did everything. Anyway, that's why the French consider him an auteur. Anyway, so his last movie that he was really creating was the film The Day the Clown Cried. And again, like I said, he was popping pills like Tic Tacs, man. He was like out of his mind. He was drunk. He was going through divorces. He's chain smoking. He's getting older, midlife crisis. And he made a movie about a clown in a concentration camp. Yep, that's what the movie was about. Jerry Lewis wanted to be considered a dramatic actor, so he took on the role of this clown whose job it was to make the children laugh as he led them into the gas chambers. So Jerry Lewis gets all kinds of money because Jerry Lewis is all super powerful, and he makes this movie, and the studios are like, just let Jerry do what he's going to do. He's going to turn in another nutty professor. It's going to be great. Another The Bellhop, we're hoping. And he turns in this insane movie, The Day the Clown Died. And the studio looked at it and went, nope. And they locked it away. Never been released. Only like a handful of people have ever seen this film. That's what I fear The Apprentice, the movie about Donald Trump, is going to turn into. Not for the same reason. Like the reason that the studio system decided they were going to shut this down was because, as the story goes, they went, we don't want to destroy Jerry. If we release this movie will absolutely destroy him. And he's on pills, and he doesn't know what he's doing, and we're hoping he's going to pull out of it, and he's still bankable. So maybe we just help him out here. Day the Clown Died. I'm hoping The Apprentice isn't like that. Now, why is The Apprentice not going to be released? Is it going to be because they're going to protect, they want to protect Jerry Lewis the way it was with The Apprentice? No. The Apprentice ain't going to be released because Daniel Snyder, that's right, the disgraced owner of the Washington Commanders, former owner of the Washington Commanders, Daniel Snyder is apparently an investor in this film. Daniel Snyder's son-in-law owns the production company that produced this film. Daniel Snyder invested a lot of money in this production custom. So there is a clause in there that says that Daniel Snyder can actually make it so that nobody ever sees this film as the guy who put the money up for. And Daniel Snyder is said to be outraged by the content. No one shall ever. Boy, this is a good way. This is a really good way for Daniel Snyder to sort of reputation he thinks he may have once had. You know, he could be a warrior for free speech, but no, he's not. He's going to become the guy responsible for the fact that we are never going to see Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn and Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump. We're probably never going to see it. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that, you know, something can be done. But let's see what else. That's why Dan Snyder is ruining our chances to see The Apprentice. What else do we have? RFK. Let's talk about RFK Jr. RFK Jr. in the debate. The CNN debate is a week away. Is it a week away? I think it's a week away tomorrow. It's going to be a big debate. President Donald Trump and Vice President or former President Donald Trump, current President Joe Biden. CNN's hyping it. And oh boy, everybody's getting all excited. It ain't going to happen. I'm staying married to my position here. This debate isn't going to happen. There is no reason. I don't want to go into it. I went into it yesterday. There is no benefit to the Trump campaign for this to happen. There is no benefit whatsoever. He's not going to show up. It's not going to happen. By the way, I thought I was the only person saying that. Turns out James Carville is saying that too. That crazy old hillbilly ghoul. He's saying it. He's like, Trump ain't going to show up. Because what benefits Trump to show up and be in this debate? You know what benefits him? People talking for a couple of weeks beforehand about the debate and all this stuff, but then he just doesn't show up. Why? How does he win the debate? By not showing up. Because to Trump, and should also be the case to Biden, because we're in an election year and these people need to fucking be smart about this shit. But to Trump, the most important thing, the guy who wins the debate is the one that's being talked about the most after the debate. And if Trump doesn't show up for the debate, all they're going to talk about is Trump. And he loves that. And that's how you campaign. You don't need to show up. He'll do some shit talking about it. Yeah, I decided I wasn't going to go. That guy's a fag. You know, he's going to do something like that. And all the CNN people are going to be like, oh, what did he say? And he's going to go up 5 points in the poll. Plural. That's just how the world works today, folks. I didn't make this world. I'm sitting here just observing it. All right, let's go. RFK Jr., that's why we're talking about the debate. RFK Jr. wants into the debate, and I think that CNN ought to let him in. Right now, there's a question as to whether or not he's going to get into the debate. Did he qualify? He's good. You know, they set some rules. But apparently, this is not a Federal Election Committee debate. This is a CNN made-up debate. Look, there are no rules anymore. Everything's a fucking construct, okay? It used to be, well, that's not how you do a debate. The Federal Election Committee, they're the ones that make all the rules for the debate. Remember that? That's how it always was. And then this year, CNN's like, yeah, we're just going to do a debate. You can't do that. And CNN's like, why not? Because. And here we are. The debate is next week. Constructs. Just because people are telling you that to stay in your lane, right? Driving, that's a construct. Look, you can't go the wrong way. Yeah, you can. Watch me. No, you can't do that. No, I can, because it's just a construct. It's not real. I can go the wrong way in traffic if I want. I've decided not to, because I am participating in the societal constructs. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. They should let RFK Jr. in, and here's why. Because Trump ain't showing up. I mean, I know that it's very enticing, the idea of Biden just arguing with himself for an hour there on CNN. That could be fun. But you're gonna have to have somebody on deck. Seriously. If Trump decides at the last minute he's not going to show up, you got to have RFK there, and you've got to have already invited RFK. It can't be like one of these things, oh, we're just going to invite RFK because we're worried Trump won't show up, even though that should be the actual reason. That's not what you say publicly. You let them in because you're for democracy, and every voice needs to be heard, and you, CNN, you recognize the important role that RFK Jr. plays. Or maybe you don't say that because that's akin to an endorsement. But my point is this. The reality of it is you let him in because you're going to need somebody for Biden to talk to because Trump ain't showing up. And I say this hoping he does. Who doesn't want him to show up? I want to see this, man. I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it's going to happen. I want to see it so badly, but it ain't going to happen. There ain't going to be a debate. Trump ain't showing up. Maybe there'll be a debate, but Trump ain't showing up. CNN, fuck you, CNN. And his poll numbers will go up. I decided I didn't want to go with CNN. Fake news, and all that shit. He would do this to embarrass CNN. He's a spiteful motherfucker, and that is resonating with people. Is that a problem? Yes. Is it the reality of the moment? Yes. Do we need to resonate with people in order to get votes now? Yes. Is the system broken? Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God. Maybe it's just we're bad. This idea that we're good, we're decent. Humanity is so kindly. They raise barns for, people when their houses are hit by a tornado. Fuck you. People are self-centered and mean. We want to be angry. People are angry. I don't know why people are angry, but we're angry. Trump not showing up to the debate is not going to hurt him. That's all I'm saying. Showing up to the debate and potentially losing or being embarrassed or having something bad happen, that could be detrimental. But Trump doesn't show up to the debate. You can always be like, I don't wipe the floor with him. I just didn't show up, right? You don't lose if you didn't show up. He didn't lose. He was just like, hey, not worth my time. That's a different spin. So, I'm not saying that he would lose, but what I'm saying is that there's obviously a potential for a problem, and Trump doesn't need problems right now. He's on cruise control. Trump, the people who are voting for Trump, the man has just been indicted on like 40 charges, and his poll numbers are just basically the same. There is nothing that is going to hurt this guy. The only thing that is going to hurt him is if on the day we all go to vote, the independents who have been on the fence all this time break hard for Biden. And the only way I can see that they might break hard for Biden is that in this one-on-one where it's Trump versus Biden, they decide, and Trump seems a little nuts. Trump doesn't show up for this thing, then, he doesn't have that concern. I don't know why he would show up. If I was in the Trump campaign, I'd be like, yeah, just so you know, we're pretending like we're going to show up, right? But then on the day of, we ain't showing up because that's how we control the news cycle. Everybody's going to be talking about us. All your vassals will get to go on Fox News and News Nation and Newsmax and all these things and make apologies, and they'll get TV time out of it, so they'll be very appreciative, sir. Let's talk about what a dick Billy Ray Cyrus is. Now, if you didn't already know that Billy Ray Cyrus was a dick, I got news for you. He's a dick. Billy Ray Cyrus, I didn't know anything about this. Billy Ray Cyrus is going through a divorce. And not from Billy Ray Cyrus's wife that he had Miley with. No, they've already been I didn't know this. What's her name? Tish. In other words, Miley Cyrus's mother is Tish Cyrus, right? Hot. She's like a hot MILF. Well, of course she is. She married Billy Ray Cyrus. Remember Billy Ray Cyrus back in the achy breaky days? He was a handsome man. He probably got, he wasn't going to marry some gross girl. He married a smoking hot girl, Tish Cyrus. They created Miley and some other spares, but let's be honest, just Miley. But they've been divorced now, I guess, for a while. I didn't know they were divorced. So when I'm reading this story about the current divorce ugliness that Billy Ray Cyrus is going through, I thought it was with Miley's mom. And then I start reading further and I'm like, what? Billy Ray Cyrus is into some nonsense. Not that he, and by the way, you got to see Billy Ray Cyrus. What do you see what this guy looks like now? Holy shit. I mean, good for him. Good for him. You know what he does? He wakes up and he goes, I'm going to play with clothes and hair today. And he just, it's very womanly and it's, not a dude thing, but he certainly does pay a lot of attention to his look. Not me. Wear the same goddamn thing every day. You know why? Because I'm not a woman. But anyway, here's Billy Ray Cyrus. You got to see what the look that he's going with. And then I'm going to tell you the story about this woman that he's divorcing. All right, here we are. Okay. And by the way, this new wife looks like one of Miley's friends. How creepy is that? All right. I mean, if you told me, if you just gave me 1 second to look at this picture and said, is this Billy Ray Cyrus or Rob Zombie? I'd be like, that's Rob Zombie. That's Billy Ray Zombie. So there's Billy Ray Zombie. Billy Ray Cyrus. Wait a second. Billy Ray Zombie. Cyrus. Oh, Cyrus. Isn't that a mythological god who had something to do with raising the dead? Zombie Cyrus? Are you fucking kidding me? I think. I don't know. Somebody needs to do some research into the god Osiris. I think he had something to do with dead people. And if he did, Billy Ray Zombie is a pretty good name for him. All right, so here's the story. So that's his hot little new wife, who is a soon-to-be ex-wife. There is some ugliness going on here. Okay, come on, guys. Do I gotta wait for the story? Billy Ray Cyrus has fired back at his estranged wife after she claims abuse and some other things. Here, I'm gonna tell you something. Billy Ray Cyrus is firing back at his estranged wife. Her name is Fire Rose. That's all. Her name is Fire Rose. And all right, so here's the deal. Billy Ray Cyrus got married to her in 2022. She's a hot young thing, and they get together, and they're married. And Miley Cyrus is a superstar, so Billy Ray Cyrus isn't just a one-hit wonder loser has-been, the achy breaky guy who should be living in a 1-bedroom apartment somewhere, because he long since blown all of his achy breaky money. But he doesn't have that because he created, the industry that is Hannah Montana with his daughter. So now he's got money. He can walk around 60 years old looking like Rob Zombie, which is interesting because Rob Zombie's probably 60, but I digress. All right, so here's the deal. He gets out of the relationship with Tish. He marries this hot, young 20-something-year-old. They're happy as a clam. She gets breast cancer, has to go in for a double mastectomy, and the day before her double mastectomy surgery, he files for divorce. That's Billy Ray Cyrus. That's why I tell you, if you didn't know Billy Ray Cyrus was a dick before now, boy, do I have a story for you. The country star has filed new docs in response to fire. Look, here is what is undeniable. He filed for divorce from her the day before her double mastectomy. Now, you don't just get a double mastectomy the night before. They're not like, well, you know what? You should get a double mastectomy. Can I schedule for 6 a.m. in the morning? So my point is this. She had been going through something that led up to her double mastectomy surgery. And this is when Billy Ray Cyrus decides, I'm out. I'm out. Now, what is Billy Ray Cyrus saying? Billy Ray Cyrus is saying, oh, that's not it at all. Because if that's what I did, I'd be an asshole. You don't need to see him anymore. Billy Ray Cyrus is saying, I didn't do that at all. If I had done that, that's something an asshole did. Let me tell you the real story. So here's Billy Ray's real story. Billy Ray says that he found out that she was married before, and he didn't know that she was married before. And that good Christian man like him, that was something he could not abide, even though he's been married before. What the fuck that is legitimately his excuse. No, I want a divorce because it turns out she was married before. And I didn't know she was married before. To which she responds with, what do you mean you didn't know I was married before? You met him. Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. Billy Ray is a piece of shit. Did you not know that? You do now. All right. Left his wife while she was in the midst of dealing with double mastectomy. And now he's a 60-year-old man walking around looking like Rob Zombie. Which you might, if you were like, well, yeah, man, he was pretty rocking back in the 90s. If that was where his origin was. But that's not his origin. His origin is achy, breaky motherfucking heart. One of the worst candy-ass, dumb one-hit. That, the Macarena, that shark song or whatever, He ain't Johnny Cash, is my point. And now he's walking around like he's Rob Zombie, divorcing his 20-something-year-old wife because she got a double mastectomy. Good Lord. How about this one? There's a story going around. People are upset. Apparently, see, now I bailed. Can I be honest with you? Can we talk about Star Wars for a second? I'm not the greatest person to talk about Star Wars. I love Star Wars. You know what Star Wars is? I'll tell you what Star Wars is. Star Wars is the first 3 films that were made between 1977 and what, 1986? All this other stuff, I don't know. You fucking kids, you can have it, okay? I don't even know what the Star Wars universe is out of control. It's 3 films. I watched the 3 films. If I ever want to get a Star Wars Jones going, I go back and I watch the original 3 films. R2-D2, Wookiees, Harrison Ford. I watched that shit. James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. I watched that shit. I don't need all this other stuff. I tried. But you know what saved me? My son, my very own son, who was very into Star Wars because it was, targeted at kids as he was growing up. He was very into all of this stuff. The Mandalorian. Oh my God. My kid was like, The Mandalorian is the greatest show ever. And I'm like, okay. So I start watching all this stuff just because I want to watch it with him. Thankfully, my kid is 15 years old, and he's like, yeah, Star Wars kind of sucks now, Dad. They kind of really watered it down. Disney is taking most of the blame for this. This isn't just my kid saying it, but it's a lot of people are angry. Disney, since taking over the Star Wars franchise, well, they've done things that people are claiming they've Disneyfied the Star Wars universe in any number of ways, but this latest offering in the Star Wars universe is being called the gayest Star Wars of all times. Gayest Star Wars of all times. The Acolytes. Do you know what this is? Is this a new Disney Channel Star Wars show? There's a new Disney Channel Star Wars show every couple of weeks. Star Wars fans abandon ship as Disney Plus brings on the lesbian space witches. What? And what, is there a lesbian scene? No. I know this because it's Disney and it's Star Wars. That's how I know. There's never been has there ever, well, I guess there's a kissing scene between Anakin and Natalie Portman, right? And there was never a kiss. Luke never kissed Leia. There was never any sexuality at all in Star Wars. But now we have lesbian witches, which is fine. Look, it's fine if these witches in their personal life are gay. No problem. But why do they need to bring that into their work? Why do they need to be lesbian witches? Why can't they just be witches? I conjure all kinds of things when I think of what the private lives of witches must be like. And if I'm being honest, lesbianism is not off the table. I'm like, there's probably lesbianism going on. So why does Disney feel the need in their new Star Wars film to project lesbian witches? I don't know. When Disney CEO Bob Iger said that he wanted to focus on entertainment instead of messaging, he apparently wasn't referring to the Star Wars franchise. Star Wars, The Acolyte, the 8-part series streaming on Disney Plus, is being pilloried by fans as a new low for Disney. A queer Marxist vandalization of the Star Wars universe. Oh, I think thou doth protest too much. A queer Marxist. Stop it. It's Star Wars. What do they got? A bunch of Star Wars characters tribbing on Jabba the Hutt's beanbag chair? What is going on with the Acolyte that's got you people going, it's too gay? Do they have for no reason just gratuitous makeout sessions between a couple of side characters? Who cares? Star Wars is a universe where I assume green people with gills procreate with regular humans. Why are we getting all bent out of shape about sexual orientation? Why is there any sexuality or sexual content at all? There should be no sexuality. Let's do that. Let's just, in the future in Star Wars, people don't have sex anymore. Babies are born. You go to a place. A guy contributes his part, a girl contributes her part, they make it in a lab. Let's just do that. There you go. Fixed the Star Wars problem. Should anyone ever ask? Nobody has sex in the Star Wars universe because that's not a thing. We've evolved past that. Wait, is Star Wars in the future or the past? It might be the past, right? Was that ever explained? All we know is it's a galaxy. We don't know what the time frame was. Well, it's not pertinent to our time because we're in a different galaxy. So I guess it doesn't matter. Point is this. People are angry, very angry. The series intensified the battle between hardcore Star Wars fans who accuse Disney of destroying the canon to score diversity points and feminists who cheered the series as a much-needed rejuvenation of the moribund franchise. So far, the Star Wars fandom is carrying the day. The series registered an 84% critics rating, but an abysmal 14% audience score. Oh, that's always the worst. Oh my God. You want to know how I know not to watch anything? If the critic score is like 90 and the people score is like 10. When that's the case, it's like, oh, you guys are all you critics are all pretending to like it. I get it. Yeah, you want to be like smarter than it. You got it. We didn't. Okay, I gotcha. Because don't kid yourself. Critics, and I have been a critic. I have done that, so I know other people do. We say we like things that we don't because we think to say we don't like it will mean that we're outside of what is fashionable. So guess what? Anytime the general public who have no stake in whether it's good or bad, anytime there is that much of a discrepancy between what the critics say, critics, 99%, fans, 2%. You know that movie is a pretentious piece of garbage. Those sounding the death knell for the Star Wars franchise were led by, okay, what is this? I don't care. These are just, I've never heard of this person. It's a comic book person. Cosmic book news reviewer Matt McGloin. His name should be, no, never mind. He called the Acolyte series boring, drawn out, nonsensical garbage. George Lucas should have never sold Star Wars. All right, whatever. We can move on. I'm not going to watch it because absolutely every new Star Wars thing is garbage, in my opinion. Remember, first 3 films. That's it. I'm not going to pretend like everything's good. Oh, that red movie, whatever it was, that was so good. It's a standalone. Fuck you. Yeah, it's a good standalone movie. Don't call it a Star Wars movie. What was that movie a couple of years ago? It's not canon in Star Wars, but it's Star Wars-y. I don't know. It was good. I'm like, it's not a Star Wars movie. Yes, it is. No, it's not. What was that called? Adam says I got it wrong. It's the anti-woke losers who are gaming the score. They do that with stuff they don't agree with. Well, I guess I'm an anti-woke loser. I guess Adam just called me an anti-woke loser, which I'd never really considered myself to be on either side. I don't know what I am there. But you don't understand how the shoehorning of characters, lesbian witches in this case. And I haven't said, look, but this is just a little exercise and fun for me and Adam right now because I haven't seen the show. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But I imagine that there are some witches, and there are some, for some reason, in the story of Star Wars, we know that these witches like to get down with other chicks. I see that as gratuitous, potentially pandering, for there is no reason in the Star Wars universe for us to know what these fucking witches are getting into or who they're hot for. Doesn't need to be there. It's Star Wars. Started out as a kid's series. Doesn't need to be there. So if there is now a plot device to somehow introduce via, through the argument of inclusion, it's stupid. Stop it. I didn't know who was fucking who in It's a Wonderful Life. Frank Capra didn't have to worry about that shit back then. What's going on here? Why do we need to know the sexual orientations of a couple of space witches? Well, because it's assumed, when Luke and he holds hand and he's got a crush on Leia, so obviously you're condoning heterosexual. We're not condoning heterosexual. We're reflecting the norm. It's the norm. The vast majority of people are heterosexual. That doesn't mean the people that aren't are terrible. That's not what I'm saying. But the vast majority of people are heterosexual. So it's the idea that we got to shoot that this is what people who are maybe not as fully conscious of what's going on here. This is what people react to, Adam. This is why people get mad. This is why people overreact, because it's just this constant reminder of things that don't necessarily need to be there. We don't need inclusion. We don't need to be reminded to be kind to our alternative lifestyle friends during an episode of Star Wars. Now, me, honestly, I can get past it. It doesn't really bother me. But we're talking about why it's bothering some people, so I'm channeling there. I don't really give a shit about it. I just roll my eyes, That's what I always say. Whatever happened to the good old days when we could just roll our eye? We'd see something we didn't like and we just go, oh my God, and just move on with our lives. We don't do that anymore. We don't move on. We turn them into causes. Anti-woke. See, I mean, Adam, I love you, brother. Don't do that. Don't call people anti-woke. Are you fucking missing the point? Stop being so combative. It's just somebody who's got a different opinion than you, but you take the shortcut to demonizing them because you don't want to actually get to what it's really about. Maybe they're just stupid. Now you're just being mean to stupid people. You pick on retarded kids, do you? Huh, Adam? Anti-woke. And by the way, I'm just using this as not really angry at Adam for using that term, but when we do use those kinds of terms, this is the partisanship. I am not anti-woke, them and us. There is them, the anti-woke, and then there's the me, and I think, right, stop it. Move on. Come on. I think you're emotionally fragile if this is the kind of thing that bothers you. Like if you're one of these Star Wars people who are posting up a storm about how outrageous it is that there are lesbian witches, you're one, a fucking dork. You are a dork. Two, you're emotionally fragile. This really got you that worked up? Oh, my friend, let me teach you something that I learned a couple of years ago and served me very well. Therapy taught me about the art of choice making. You can make choices. You don't have to be this emotionally fragile. I know you think you do. I know that you think this is just my natural reaction. But see, going with that natural reaction to act like a bitch, which is what you're doing, going with that natural reaction comes a choice that you just completely blew right through. You can take a moment while you're going, this is fuck it. You can take a moment and you can say to yourself, what's my choice here? Do I blow this up in all of the stuff that comes after? Do I just shut my fucking mouth and move on because I'm not an emotionally fragile bitch? I choose that one. Yeah, that sucks. Roll my eyes, move on. But there are people who are triggered. So I'm answering, why are these people triggered? Are they triggered? They're triggered for any number of reasons, because it does get a little bit much when it seems like everybody's trying to cram something down your throat that you're just not all that comfortable with, which is fine to not be comfortable with stuff. It's fine. People need to be brought along slowly. Some people aren't as fashion forward as guys like Adam and me. Some people need to be demonizing them during the evolution process. I don't think does anybody any good, and it just makes us draw lines, and now we're throwing rocks, and all of a sudden we're a mess of a society. Adam says it's called review bombing, and it's often done by emotionally fragile bitches, as you said. Oh, yeah, we agree on that. Absolutely. I think anybody who writes reviews and stuff like that, they may not be legitimately emotionally fragile, but you have to tap into that for that kind of job because you're trying to be interesting. And it is more interesting to be emotionally fragile than to be calm and reserved in your opinions. I know that I've benefited from manufacturing emotional fragility over the years, being outraged by shit that, man, you were really upset about that. And you're like, what? What was I upset about? And then they explain it to you and you're like, I don't even remember talking about that. Dude, you were really upset. I go, yeah, that's part of the showmanship. Let's see. What else do we have here? What else is happening? That's the gayest Star Wars ever. We got a lot of stories. Look at us, man. It's 2:25 and now we still got a whole bunch of stuff to get through. What are you doing, dog? Licking your butt? The dog licks her butt all the time. It's been 3 days now of just nonstop butt licking. Bestiality bus. Here's a weird story. This comes out of Pennsylvania. So cops pulled over a bus that was rolling at you guys. There's just so much in this world that I just have no idea about. No idea. No clue until now that this was a thing. That this was a business model that somebody came up with. So there's this bus, you see. There's a bus, and the guy who drives the bus, we got his name. That's right. We got his name. What's his name? Let me introduce you to him. What's his name? Let me find his name. Because no, we want this guy's name out here. This isn't like one of those. There it is. His name is Sean Hirschbein. Sean Hirschbein. Sean Hirschbein, he's driving cross country. He's kind of doing a BJ and the Bear thing. Hey there, where you going? I'm BJ McKay, and this is my best friend, Bear. Except in this case, the bear gives the BJ. Yeah, it's a bestiality bus. This guy has a bus filled with animals that he drives around the country because of the glories of the internet and connecting people of all kinds of interests. He drives to towns where he has gathered all the local bestiality fans, and they show up and they come on the bus and I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. You think I'm kidding? I don't blame you. I don't want to live in a world where a bestiality bus being driven by one Sean Hirschbein is coming through town. I got to show you the pictures. You got to see the pictures. You're like, Pugs, you're making news stories up now. Pugs, I thought you were totally credible. I thought that, you were misguided and wrong about a lot of stuff, but at least the stories that you were reporting came from real sources. Here, I'm going to show you. Here's the bestiality bus. Hold on. For those of you who don't know what bestiality is, Google it. We'll be here when you get back. All right, so here, this is the bestiality bus. See if we can get a good look at it. No New York Daily News. I do not want you sending me notifications. All right, there's a chicken. There's a sexy chicken right there. Sexy ass chicken on the bestiality bus. All right, here's the story. Yeah, it's a dude driving around the country, hooking up with people who want to have sex with animals, and he's providing the animals and the bus for it. It's the bestiality bus. A bus suspected of being used for bestiality. Oh, suspected? Really? Don't want to, he's still accused. God, could you imagine being accused of such a thing? You got to kill yourself. You got to kill yourself. If somebody accused me of doing this, okay? I don't even defend myself. I just kill myself. Because it doesn't matter. Because even if it's proven to be absolutely false for the rest of my life, anytime I meet people, someone's going to whisper, dude, he drove a bestiality bus and beat the charges. It doesn't matter. That's my life. Blow my freaking head off. A bus suspected of being used for bestiality operations was pulled over in southern Pennsylvania, causing authorities to notify the Adams County SPCA of a, quote, extremely strange situation. Let's see. We got any more pictures from the beast bus? Oh, what's this? Oh, cute little kid. All right, God, show me some more bestiality bus pictures. What? There are no more pictures? I thought there were better pictures for the bestiality bus. All right, I guess that's it. I guess that's it for pictures. All right, so we'll just stay. You got a rooster and a turkey right there. That's not all, though. You want to know what was on the menu? I bet you're wondering. You're like, well, Pugs, all you're showing me there is a rooster and a chicken, and quite frankly, I don't have to wait for a bus to come through town. I know where to go if I want that kind of action. A bus suspected of being used for bestiality, blah, blah, blah. The incident occurred Saturday night when police said they came across a broken down school bus full of animals, which was pulling a trailer that also contained live mammals. Cops contacted the animal rescue workers who said on Facebook the cargo included, are you ready? Here's your choices. You want to have sex with animals? Here's what you got. 30 birds. 30 birds. 30 birds. 4 shepherd bred dogs, a bull, and a pony. There you go. There you go, weirdos. There you go, people who ought to be, So we were talking about the Stonehenge incident from today over there in England. Some people sprayed Stonehenge. And I was talking about how I'm watching people online go, they ought to be executed. They ought to give the death penalty for something like this. And I'm like, oh my God. Death penalty for spraying something on rocks? You fucking monster. Do you have no regard for humanity at all? They ought to just kill people for doing this because I don't believe in global warming. Really? That's what does it, killing people because these are climate activists? Yeah, they suck. They're a pain. They're hard to deal with. But whatever, you don't fucking just kill people, you monster. These people you kill. I just want to be straight with you. These people you kill. You kill the guy who, has the app that hooks up with the bestiality bus when it comes through town because he really wants to. He can't decide. Am I going to have sex with the bull or the pony tonight? That guy, you can't help that guy. I'm not saying we kill them for punitive reasons. No, the punishment. We kill them just because they need to be killed. They can't be here anymore. We don't need that. What are they capable of? If this is the kind of thoughts they're having and the kind of shit they do, what else are that? We just need to kill them. Cops can't. Let's see. The dogs were being fed the chickens. Oh, apparently the chickens are off the menu. Apparently you can't have sex with the chickens or the roosters. Apparently the dogs were being fed the live chicken and roosters that we see there in that picture. Let's see here. The dogs were being fed the chickens, and the bull and pony were being used for bestiality purposes. I bet if you come with enough money, you can get one of them dogs. If you're like, look, I know you're only offering the bull and the pony, but I feel like I've got a connection with that Australian Terrier, Australian Shepherd right there. Can we work a little something out? This is such a sick story. The organization said Tuesday that due to past crimes committed by Sean Hirschbein, apparently they ran his name. They found out some shit. The organization said Tuesday that due to past crimes committed by Sean Hirschbein, the driver of the bus, they would spend $10,000 to check the animals for human DNA. Why is this? Why is this little county in southern Pennsylvania going to spend $10,000, 10,000 taxpayer dollars? Why are they going to spend this money? On a fool's errand, on the off chance that there's some human jizz. Why are they doing it? Well, because they took a look at Sean's past criminal record. And they decided we should probably see if any of these animals have been raped. I don't know. I'm just looking at Sean Hirschbein's file. Maybe we should see. God, the animals aren't ready for new homes. I bet they're not. Counseling? Do these animals need counseling? These animals are going to need years of counseling. The animals aren't ready for new homes, but the Adams County SPCA, which planned to close for a few days to deal with the matter, was seeking donations to help cover the cost of the animals. Pennsylvania NBC affiliate WJAC said Hirschbein was arrested on an outstanding warrant in West Virginia for distributing obscene material to children, among a myriad of other sex crimes. Okay, so he's a piece of pervert. He's a total pervert. There you go. Bestiality bus. Sorry, kids. Bestiality bus isn't going to be coming through town. We used to have a bus that came through town with a clown on it when I was little. I don't remember a whole lot of stuff from being little, but I remember one traumatic moment with a birthday bus and a clown. And I wanted nothing to do with that clown. I don't know. I was probably like 4. I remember like walking up the bus and then seeing this clown there. And I was like, fuck this. And I threw like a huge tantrum. I don't know. All right, moving on. Let's see. What else do we have here? That was around the time I think I pooped in the swimming pool. That was another traumatic moment for me. I was like 4 or something. Not 12. If I'm 12 and I'm pooping in the swimming pool, there's a problem. But I was like fresh out of diapers. And I think I remember this. I remember getting in the swimming pool and I'm like, hey, and then just letting loose. Everybody freaking out. Everybody yelling at me. I'm like 4. Everybody's yelling at me. I just pooped. I don't know any better. You put me in the pool. I'm 4. I'm going to poop if it feels good. I poop everywhere. I'm fresh out of diapers. I'm only half committed to this toilet thing. Let's see here. What else do we have? It says here, here's a study. We'll mention this study. I'm gonna read this because I have a different take on this, but okay, I'll give it to you the way it's being presented. Okay, experiencing premature pain. Did you know that the average American feels at least 10 years older than they actually are, and they almost all blame it on joint pain? Doesn't this sound like a bad commercial? Doesn't this sound like I'm getting ready to do a live read for joint pain? I'm not. But I was interested in this study. It's a joint pain study, and they talked about how everybody's got joint pain, and the older you get, the joint pain gets worse. I don't have any joint pain, which is very interesting because I have spent my entire life doing this. Anyway, I manically crack my wrists, crack my fingers, do my toes. One of my son's favorite things that I've been doing to my son since he was like a baby is I crack his toes. I play with his toes and I pop all the air out of them and they go pop, 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 and they feel really good. Dopamine, just little spurts. It's like, oh, it's crazy. Anyway, I do that. I pop all of my joints. Now, my entire life, everybody's been telling me, by the time you're 30, you'll have arthritis so bad. Guess who doesn't have any arthritis? Guess whose fingers are fine? I've been popping my knuckles for years. And guess what studies now say? Popping knuckles is actually not detrimental to joint care because it releases air. That's what that pop is. It's the releasing of air. Now, what happens is there's buildup. So people who crack their knuckles, they're actually improving their joint. It's like they're cleaning their joint for a second. Anyway, that's one radical study to justify people like me who crack our joints. But most people, they have joint pain. I don't know if it's from cracking their knuckles or, whatever it is, but they say that this is the reason that most people feel 10 years older than they are. And I have to tell you, I push back on this. Do you feel 10 years older than you are? I read this story this morning and I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm such a weirdo. This is why I don't know what I'm doing on this planet anymore. I don't fit in. This is not people. You're saying something like 76% of people say that they feel at least 10 years older than they actually are. 76. That means 24% of us are weirdos. I feel and have always felt 10 years younger. And it's not good. That was maybe good when I was like, 32 or something and still looking to have fun. But I've always felt young. Like my great curse is that no matter how old I get, I always think I still got time. I still got plenty of time. I'm getting old I'm not old, but I'm getting older. Like 50 is now 40, right? I mean, I guess it just dials back. What is it they say that everything is dialed back like 10 years or whatever? So 50 is like 40, 40 is like 30 now. 20 is like 10. 20-year-olds are still treated like babies, basically, which is interesting. There was another story this week about that, about how the college graduates, like the percentage of college graduates that take their mom or dad to their first job interview. Oh my God. Anyway, I've always felt younger. Maybe not physically, like, because I do have like an ankle problem, because like I've sprained my ankle so many times. Like I've got a trick ankle that it's like a rubber. Like my ankle won't break anymore, but it will bend completely back and sprain and it'll hurt, but it'll be fine. That's really it. I'm talking about mentally and emotionally, psychically. I mean, I've always felt younger than I always felt at least 10 years younger. I shouldn't say always, because it wasn't like I was 18 and I felt like I was 8. But I mean, like, since I've been a grown-up, like I was in my 30s, I felt like I was still in my 20s. I don't know. And I don't look, if you're taking the 30,000-foot view of my life and the wreckage that it has become, you might go, yeah, that's a bad thing. But I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Look, being happy is the most important thing. That is, honestly, I mean, we can all die at any minute. Our next breath could be our last breath. Be fucking happy. Happy is the gold, okay? If you can be happy just with whatever you have, go with that. Because as I say, your next breath could be your last. Be happy. I don't know, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy thinking of myself as still having time. I'm happy thinking that I'm not as old as I am, or having to be reminded. I see people all the time who are younger than me, and I go, holy shit, does that dude look old now? Good thing I still look 25. And then I catch myself in a mirror and I'm like, fuck. But when I close my eyes and I picture myself, I don't picture this train wreck of an individual. I picture an apex young man of 32, 33 years old, feeling good, feeling brash, confident. I don't know, but most people feel 10 years older. I don't know if you feel 10 years older. I don't know how that works. All right, let's keep going. Let's see here. What else do we have? Speaking of feeling old, want to take a look at the oldest human being ever? Yeah. Science. Woo, science is so cool. So apparently science has been able to take the bones of the oldest person ever and they put them together and they like made a face. Hold on. Let me get you this pictures. And they made a face. And this is what you're being not great. Come on, you want to say hi to people? Come here. Come on, say hi to people. Come on, say hi to people. Don't. Come on, Bubba. Come on, Bubba. See, I got to do this stupid stuff. All right, you want to come up? There you go. All right, you want to hang out with me? All right, see? Sit. Oh, that is a bad place for you to be sitting. That is not good. You want to turn? She's going to fall. She is like totally not in a good spot. All right. CeeLo, I'm going to show everybody. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Stop licking stuff. Okay. Especially since you've been licking your butt nonstop. Don't lick my hands. The things we put up with from dogs. Just so disgusting. Here you go. This is the oldest man ever. Look at him. Yeah. You bunch of racists. Yeah, it's a black dude. You're damn right. Did you think the original human face was going to be white? Is that what you thought? Like an idiot. Cradle of humanity, right? They come from Africa. All right, so here you go. This is the face of our oldest human ancestor. It's been recreated. Are there any better pictures? See if there's better pictures on here. Oh, I see that. Oh, there he is. Look at him. There he is. That's the original human. Well, it's not the original human. It is the a recreated face of the oldest known living, whatever, bones, oldest guy. Look at him. Oh, hey, look at her. What are you doing, baby? What are you looking at? You want to go get him? Go get him. Go get him, baby. Come on, go. There you go. I don't know if you guys can hear, but she's got busy. She's busy now because there's yard guys are out there weed whacking. And she doesn't know what her job is, but if she had to guess, making sure that these people don't kill everyone in this house, that is job number one for her. And she feels like she's done a really good job of stopping the neighbors' landscapers from killing us all in this house. She's done a great job, girl. I was really worried about that happening. Thank you for being on point. Let's talk about some. I almost went hard for no reason on a group of people that don't deserve my ire. All right, let's call them anyway. Let's make fun of some chinless Gen Z fucks. What do you say? Can I tell you about? Okay, so Gen Z is apparently Gen Z men are apparently very, very concerned about chins, which I think is interesting because I have always been concerned about my chin, and I don't know why. I don't have. Here's why. I knew a guy growing up, and we called him chinless. Not nice. We called him chinless because he didn't have a chin. Because it was like, it was like nothing. It was not good. It was not a good look. He was not a handsome guy. He did not get laid in high school. He was chinless. Okay. So for some reason, I got it in my head because a girl once said that I had a rounded face. I got it in my head that I was chinless. So I became very concerned about my jawline and all that. So over the years, when I started wearing a beard, I started making my beard longer, like here, so that it would. I don't think I'm chinless. I think I have a chin. That's the chin, right? I have a chin. But for some reason, somewhere in my head, that is like the worst insult you can give to a man is to call him chinless. I I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anybody out there that I know who's chinless. Paul Giamatti, right? Isn't he like an actor? Like as far as actor, isn't he kind of chinless? I think he's kind of chinless. Anyway, Gen Z boys are very concerned about the whole chinless thing. In fact, that's the number one plastic surgery request for Gen Z boys. How old are Gen Z boys? How many plastic surgery trips does like a 20-year-old need? Honestly, Gen Z, that's not like right now. What are we at? Wait, is my kid Gen Z? I think my kid is Gen Z. All right, well, I got to figure out what cohort, what generational cohort this is. So if we're going with, let's just go with traditionally accepted age groups. So Generation X, my generation, is 1965 to 1980. That means that millennials are 1980 to 1995. That means that Gen Z are anyone born between 1995 and 2010. That's right, because my son, who was born in 2009, is at the very end of Gen Z. So anyway, Gen Z guys, again, Gen Z is 95 to 2009. So yeah, you're pretty old. You're 20. You're okay. So Gen Z, there are Gen Z grown-up men out there. Gen Z men are spending thousands on chin replacements. They say there's they're looking for this. This story says that they're looking for the Patrick Bateman American Psycho look. Gen Z men are spending thousands of dollars on what's called looks maxing, a social media trend that's spurring them to use everything from diet and tongue exercises to Botox and plastic surgery to get a perfectly chiseled face. I'm going to show you exactly what they're talking about with these perfectly chiseled. Yeah. Knock it up. Did you hear that? Oh, this is what we're going to deal with now. That's the, okay, mental note. The landscapers come at 2:30 on Wednesdays. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah. All right, so here's a dude. You're never gonna let me see these pictures, are you? You're not gonna let me see these pictures. All right, so I don't know if this dude is a before or after. I don't care. Folks, I apologize for the weed whacker that's going on outside the window. All right, I don't know what's going on with this guy. I don't know if this is before or after. Don't really care. But here, I want to show you an example of the chin that all of these Gen Z guys are going for. He's a male model. I have never heard of him before. His name is Jordan something, or what is his name? Jordan Barrett. Do you guys know who Jordan Barrett is? I'm going to show you this guy's chin. Oh, here, this guy. All right, so this is, I guess, after the chin surgery. All right, he's got a chin, whatever. But you know what? You still don't look like this guy. Look at this freak. Look at this. This is handsome. I am sorry. I am totally not gay. Because if this is Jordan Barrett, the male model, he fucking looks weird. He looks like a shrinky dink that was left in just a couple of minutes too long. He looks melted. You're telling me that this is what women think is hot? Okay, I get it. The chiseled jawline. I see that. But this is a weird look. This guy's eyes look weird. No! All right. I could never be gay. That's the guy whose jawline everybody's trying to get. Gen Z boys want this jawline. They're also saying it's the Patrick Bateman from American Psycho jawline. Who cares? All right, moving on. We don't need any more of that. Gen Z boys. Chinless. But I was always like concerned. I'm like, do I have a chin? I think I got a chin. Problem is that I'm a little bit, here's what's good for me. I do have an oval shaped head. So I guess that kind of suggests that I do have a chin. Because if I didn't have an oval face, this isn't definitely an oval face. And I cut my beard down because it's funny. Just last week I went, you know what? I got to stop with the chin thing. So I cut my thing down. So this is pretty normal. I don't know. I don't at this point, right? Do I give a fuck if I'm chinless? Let's just add that to the stuff that isn't good about being me. And he's also chinless. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here we go. We're at the end of the show, and why not? It's 2:51. We've gone a full hour later than we should. Supposed to be on with James Parker here in a little bit of time, and maybe I'll just go right up to our time on. Oh, actually, wait, isn't James on now? So I shouldn't be cutting into his time because some of you I know you like to jump over. But we are going to talk about something that happened today. So something happened today. This is very big news. This is a very big story. It's occupied the bulk of my morning, and I wanted to save it for the very end because we needed to talk about it. And that is, of course, the passing of an American icon, Willie Mays. Say, hey, kid. Yesterday, I love baseball. Everybody knows that I love baseball. I'm a big baseball guy, but more to the point, I really love the history of baseball. And I don't go all the way back. I'm not going to tell you about Christy Mathewson. I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't tell you about, I saw Ty Cobb play. I have no fucking idea about those people. That's weird baseball. That's not real baseball. But the era of baseball that I find most interesting is post-World War II baseball. Baseball beginning in the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s, specifically 1970s and 80s baseball. That's what I love most because that's when I was a little kid and everything was magical about it. But I can get into some conversations with you about people, from that era, an era before I was actually afforded the privilege of watching these guys play. So I never saw Mickey Mantle play. I never saw Roger Maris play. I never saw Lou Brock, who we talked about yesterday. I never saw Lou Brock play. I don't think I ever saw Willie Mays play. But that doesn't matter because Willie Mays was different than all those other names that I just mentioned. Willie Mays is a singular among many. When you get to the top, when you get to the best baseball players of all time, Willie Mays is the one that typically, Willie Mays died at 93 years old yesterday. Willie Mays is the best baseball player who has ever played baseball. He's the best baseball player of all time. I'm going to make this case for him right now, okay? Most lists, whether it's the ESPN list, the Sporting News list, or there was another, the National. If you remember, the National the National was an old sports magazine. They did a very big list back in like 1993 or something. And that national list was the only one where Willie Mays was ranked number one greatest baseball player in the history of the game. They got it right. Sporting News and most recently ESPN. I think ESPN did another real thick list around 2005 or something. Sporting News and ESPN, they put Willie Mays where just about everybody else puts Willie Mays on the baseball greatest players list. And that's number 2. Everybody's got Willie Mays at number 2. Willie Mays is number 2. Willie Mays is number 2. Why? Because it would be blasphemous to say that anyone was better than Babe Ruth. But I'm here to tell you, Willie Mays was way better than Babe fucking Ruth. Stop it, baseball. Willie Mays was the best player in the history of the game. Stop with this. Well, the Babe, that's mythology. Get rid of it. Willie Mays is the greatest baseball player who's ever played baseball. I'm going to make the case for him. Now, what is he, 4th? I don't even know all these. This is just stuff. Well, he's like 4th all time in home runs. Okay. Willie Mays could hit a long ball like nobody's business. Willie Mays was told by Leo DeRocher. He had hit like 3 or 4 home runs over the course of like a 2-game period. And he was only in his 2nd year. And Leo DeRocher, the manager of the team, came to him and said, Willie, look, I know the home runs are fun and all that kind of stuff, but that's not what we need you to do. If you're going to have a career in this game, you're going to need to be able to hit to all fields and put the ball wherever the hell you want it, when you want it. When you want to go deep, you need to make that choice to go deep. But when you want to double, you got to know that you can be able to get a double anytime you need it. And guess what Willie Mays did? Didn't hit another home run for like 2 months after Leo DeRocher said that to him. But his batting average went from 235 to 450. Because Willie Mays just decided, I'm just going to get on base every time. He was absurd as a hitter. It was like he was hitting beach balls out there. He saw shit that other people just didn't see. Bob Gibson will tell you. Actually, this is kind of a nice mutual admiration society. Willie Mays says Bob Gibson was the greatest pitcher he's ever faced, and Bob Gibson says Willie Mays is the greatest hitter he ever faced. Willie Mays had the offense down. Now, did he have as many home runs as Babe Ruth? No, Babe had a few more. Babe had a few more home runs, not a whole bunch more, because like we said, Willie Mays, he retired number 4 on the all-time home runs list, which is fucking unbelievable. So he's number 4 all-time home runs. Number 1 RBIs, number one in a whole bunch of shit, right? So that's where we got to end the comparison between Willie Mays, who died yesterday at the age of 93, and Babe Ruth, because now we'll go to the defense. And guess what? Babe Ruth sucked at defense. Babe Ruth was not a 5-tool player. Babe Ruth was a hitter. Babe Ruth could hit the ball. That's undeniable. Babe Ruth could hit the ball, and when he got a hold of it, he could take it for a ride. But Babe Ruth was a liability in left field. Babe Ruth was terrible defensively. Awful. And if Babe Ruth wasn't hitting a home run, Babe Ruth was a goddamn liability on the base paths. Willie Mays is the greatest defensive outfielder in the history of Major League Baseball. Now, I know that his catch in the World Series, his basket catch while hitting the warning track, I think that catch is a beautiful catch, and it's a wonderful catch, and it's a piece of baseball history. The Willie Mays catch, that's great, but it ain't the greatest catch of all time. Jim Edmonds made the exact same catch while diving backwards. The Jim Edmonds catch is better. There's a number of other catches that are better, but it doesn't mean that catch wasn't fucking unbelievable. Willie Mays was the greatest defensive outfielder in the history of the game while simultaneously being the best hitter in the game of the era. Oh, and then he's also Rickey Henderson on the base paths. Considered at the time, they didn't have the kind of technology that we got now, but considered at the time to be the fastest player who's ever set foot in Major League Baseball. Billy Hamilton, who during the era of the being able to, clock a 40 time and home to first and all that, Billy Hamilton, who holds the record as the fastest of all time, says that he believes he's not even nearly as close as Willie Mays was. And people who played with Willie Mays and who know Billy Hamilton say the same thing. The speed of Willie Mays is unbelievable. Now, the other argument, too, about Willie Mays and his catches, Willie Mays doesn't have a whole lot of fantastic diving save catches in the outfield. You know why? Because he was so fucking fast, he didn't have to dive. He got under balls that should never have been caught on a jog because he was Willie Mays. I'll show a little thing here about Willie Mays, just for people who know, because he is one of my all-time favorites. And he seemed like such a wonderful man. Never met him. His nickname, the Say Hey Kid. You know why he was called the Say Hey Kid? I always thought this was adorable. They called him the Say Hey Kid because Willie Mays had a difficult time remembering people's names, but he loved people. And he didn't want people to be upset that he didn't remember their names, because Willie Mays also understood that he was Willie Mays. He was famous. When people met him, they thought that was a big deal. So when he saw somebody again and he didn't remember their names, instead of embarrass them, not making it feel, he would say hey. That was what he said. Willie would always, when Willie didn't recognize you, say hey, how you doing? Like that. Bigger than life, happy, lovely. That became his nickname, the Say Hey Kid. All right, let's see a little story here about Willie Mays. Just for those of you who, I'm going to watch this. I haven't seen this. Nope, sorry. That's not the way to do it. Maybe you can make me cry. The great Willie Mays. Here you go. Dead, 93 years old, a true American icon, Mount Rushmore of baseball, my opinion, greatest Major League Baseball history, greatest player in Major League Baseball history.
Legend. An American icon. Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid, was a true giant of his time. Born in Westfield, Alabama in 1931, Mays began displaying his athletic prowess at an early age. Before he even graduated high school, he was playing center field for the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues.
15 years old is when he started dominating the Negro Leagues. He wasn't playing high school ball. He was playing professional baseball, which was a problem because he was also the quarterback on his high school football team. And when they found out that he was playing professional baseball, they told him that he couldn't play quarterback anymore, which was a Huge problem because they thought he was going to go play for Bear Bryant at a time when Bear Bryant didn't really grab black kids, to do stuff. This was like just before that had happened, but that's how good he was at quarterback that he almost went to Alabama, but instead he was forced to stop playing high school football, concentrate on baseball.
In 1951, Mays emerged as a rising star for the then New York Giants. He won Rookie of the Year honors just 4 years after baseball's color barrier had been broken. For the next 23 seasons, his achievements would cement his title as one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
By the way, I also want to mention this. 24 All-Star games. 24.
In New York, he dazzled crowds at the Polo Grounds and led the team to a World Series championship.
Here's a long drive, way back in center field, way back, it is.
His charisma and joyful.
That's the catch. That's the World Series catch, the over-the-shoulder basket catch that is, his sort of signature play. It's a beautiful play, but again, Jim Edmonds, that's more spectacular.
Were infectious. He was often seen playing stickball with kids in the neighborhood. When the Giants moved west in 1958, he brought his exciting brand of baseball to a new audience in San Francisco. Making impossible catches, speeding around the bases, launching home runs, Willie's showmanship and style were undeniable.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Swung on, hit deep to left. That one is way back, way back, way back. To left field side, number 600 for Willie Mays, and the bye-bye Baby Bonanza.
He was one of the greatest home run hitters of all time, with an incredible 660 career homers, even though he missed nearly 2 full seasons serving in the Army during the Korean War. He played in 24 All-Star games, tied for the most in National League history. He won 12 Gold Gloves and 2 Most Valuable Player awards. But his accomplishments off the field were also impactful. He remained a presence in the Giants clubhouse after his playing days, mentoring hundreds of young players. Forever a kid at heart, he also committed himself to supporting underserved youth throughout the rest of his life. Willie's impact echoes throughout the baseball community, from the tree-lined promenade of Willie Mays Plaza to the halls of Cooperstown. And in 2015, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom to honor his remarkable contributions to our country and its national pastime. As baseball endures, so do Willie's values of consistency, dedication, and courage. With an indelible mark on our hearts, he leaves us with a lasting reminder to work hard and find joy in this great game and this extraordinary life. Say hey, Willie Mays, the best there ever was.
Oh my God! Who's cutting onions in here? The great Willie Mays, dead at 93 years old. Couple of things real quick and we'll move on. It just dawned on me. Again, this is only for like baseball nerds like me. Do you realize that there was a time in New York City where you had 2 center fielders? There was a time in New York City where Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays were both playing center field for New York baseball teams. That is amazing. Like Willie Mays is a better defensive outfielder than Mickey Mantle, but Mickey Mantle ain't no slouch. I mean, I believe Willie is the greatest baseball player of all time. but Mickey's in the top 10. So, wow, that's crazy. What else? Any other thoughts that I have here on Willie Mays? Just, he's of the generation where his statistics will never be fully understandable because he took a bunch of years off in his prime to go fight a war. That's something that will never happen again. 2 years? He missed 2 goddamn years. He still went to 24 All-Star games, but he missed 2 goddamn years. 2 years fighting in Korea or doing whatever that was. So here's another question. So now that Willie Mays is dead, this is something that very interesting to think about. I mean, you probably won't because you're not a weird baseball dork like me. If you had asked me yesterday, if you just said, hey, Pugs, who's the greatest living Major League Baseball player? I'd said Willie Mays without even thinking about it. I'd be like, Willie Mays is the greatest living baseball player. Who is that now? Who is the greatest living baseball player? All right, let me see. Let me just investigate this a little bit. The show's over. We're in bonus time. We're well over an extra hour. If I want to sit here and, do some jerk off baseball shit, just indulge me, okay? All right, so who is the, let's see. Let's go to, let me see. These are all guys from the 80s. Like, okay, so I've got the top 25. This is the ESPN list, top 25 Major League Baseball players of all time. All right, so we start Christy Mathewson. He's dead, so he's not still alive. Randy Johnson's alive, but he's young. He's too young to be the greatest living ball player. Ricky Henderson, speaking of Willie Mays, Ricky Henderson is too young to be the greatest, oldest. Tom Seaver, he's dead, right? Tom Seaver, didn't he just die? Cy Young. Roger Hornsby at 20. Frank Robinson at 19, he's dead. Mike Schmidt at 18, I think he's alive. Roger Clemens at 17, he's alive. Joe DiMaggio at 16, he's dead, right? Mike Trout at 15, hell, he's still playing. That's how highly they think of Mike Trout. He's still playing. And they got him ranked as the 15th greatest baseball player ever. Greg Maddux, 14, he's still alive, but he's too young. Ken Griffey is 30. He's too young. All right, Honus Wagner, he's long dead. Number 11 is Pedro Martinez. He's still alive, but I need somebody who played. Stan Musial. Is Stan Musial alive or dead? This is the top 10. This is ESPN's top 10 greatest baseball players of all time. Number 10 is Stan Musial. He's dead, right? All right, I think he's dead. When did he die? 2013. Okay, so Stan Musial cannot be the greatest. Walter Johnson. Well, he pitched like back when Lincoln was president. So no, Walter Johnson is not still alive. He's number 9 on the list of greatest players of all time. Number 8 is Barry Bonds. Number 8, Barry Bonds. But he's too young. There's Mickey Mantle is number 7, but he's dead. He's not alive anymore. Lou Gehrig, the birthday boy, he's number 6. He's dead. Ted Williams, number 5, greatest baseball player of all time. He's dead. Ty Cobb, long dead, number 4. Who's number 3? Number 3, Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron is dead. Of course, number 2. Until yesterday, greatest living ball player. Number 2, Willie Mays. He's dead. And then, of course, number 1, Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth. Fuck you, Babe Ruth. How dare you? How dare ESPN put Babe Ruth at number 1 over Willie Mays? That is just such bullshit. Willie Mays excelled at the 5 tools that... Once Babe Ruth, and by the way, Babe Ruth didn't start, the story of Babe Ruth is that, and he only gave up pitching. He would have been the greatest pitcher of all time, but he only gave up pitching when he started hitting. That's not true at all. His arm went dead. He was on the decline as a pitcher. He moved to batting in order to stay in the major leagues. It wasn't like he was so good. No. So Babe Ruth, stop it. Babe Ruth was a good pitcher until his arm blew out, and then he switched to being a great hitter. But Babe Ruth was not like, this anything more than a great hitter. Willie Mays was great at every aspect of the game. All 5 tools. Willie Mays is arguably the best that's ever played the game. All 5. Hitting for power, steal. Yeah, so I have no idea who the greatest living baseball player is. Let's see here. I'm going to investigate that. I'm going to look into that. All right. The one last thing that I want to get into today on the show, I want to talk a little bit here. We got anybody still here? Adam, you think Barry Bonds is the greatest living baseball player? Man, I don't know, because I even in their time, I put Griffey over Bonds. I always thought Griffey was, just because of intangibles, was the better player. Bonds was a superstar, but so was Griffey. Bonds was like a terrible distraction and a head case and an awful human being. Griffey wasn't. Griffey was a great team leader and all that. I don't think, and I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Adam. Barry Bonds, undeniable skill set there. You can't deny it. But I don't think people want to. I think if we're in a contest between certain players of that era, I don't think anybody's going to want to champion Barry Bonds as being the greatest living. Nobody wants to champion Roger Clemens either. Certain guys have certain problems. Is it Griffey? For me, it might be Griffey. But who the fuck am I, right? Like, what is my opinion on this whole thing? Let me go. 13. Griffey is 13. What is Bonds? Bonds on this list is Pedro is 11. All right, I don't know, whatever. That's going to take some thought. But it is distressing to consider that we are quite possibly living in a world and at a time when Barry Bonds is that guy, the greatest living baseball player, a guy who cheated, a guy whose numbers we don't even have a real, because here's what we know. We know Willie Mays didn't cheat. We know Willie Mays wasn't taking any performance-enhancing drugs. Well, maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But I don't know. All right, let's move on. All right, the last thing that I wanted to talk about today, since we're now in the home stretch, and I mentioned something about this yesterday. So, because I don't know what to watch anymore, because there's absolutely nothing, I can't find myself being interested in anything. I've begun rewatching old series that I've long been done with. And just for shits and giggles, I told you yesterday that I started rewatching Entourage. Entourage, the HBO show. Why did I start watching it? Because the thought in the beginning was, well, these are just really short, like 30-minute episodes. I could just, I need something that I can just watch while I'm eating dinner, or watch while I'm shaving, because I get the TV and just whatever, just stuff that I need to put on. And Entourage has 8 seasons. Well, I didn't anticipate being hooked in to Entourage to the degree that I have been over the past week. But my God, I'm like getting ready to start season 3 in like a week. These episodes of Entourage, the old HBO show, they are so easy, man. Before you know it, you've watched 5 episodes. You're like, holy fuck, what time is it? Jesus Christ, they go by so quick and they are so easily digestible. You just hear that? The dog just spazzed out for no reason. She's mad. It's 3:15. She wants to go outside. She's like, Daddy, we're supposed to be done. We're supposed to be out there walking. I'm supposed to be done with my walk for 45 minutes now. All right, settle on. We're talking about Entourage. So I've been watching it and I've been enjoying it because I do believe pound for pound, it's an incredibly good show. It is an incredibly well done show. Now, the narrative of the time was that it was douchey and that this, glorified or romanticized a certain style. And it did, absolutely. It's super douchey. But if you ever want to have but if you ever want to just be instantly transported back to what the world was in 2005, watch an episode of Entourage because it's fun. It's candy. And I will tell you that there are some incredible performances. Jeremy Piven, who is a total cocksmoke. You want to talk about a jagoff. That dude is like one of the biggest jagoffs on the planet. Jeremy Piven's incredible. Incredible in that. Undeniable talent. He's undeniably great in the character of Ari Gold. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about now is the thing that has shocked me the most rewatching Entourage. Because when Entourage came out, we know what Entourage was. Entourage is a Hollywood depiction of what, liberal West Coast Hollywood is all about, that whole thing. HBO and their West Coast bias and all that stuff. And, there are some talk of politics in Entourage, and they are all obviously, very liberal and very progressive minded. That's the attitudes. Whatever, that's fine. But that's not the issue is the vulgarity, the date rapiness, the just open. There is shit that you just cannot do on a television series now. And Entourage was just 2005. I'll give you a point. I just watched an episode where they're hanging out. Johnny Drama has purchased a condo, and he wants the condo to be annexed in to Beverly Hills proper. It is currently sitting on the border. Johnny doesn't like not having a Beverly Hills address. He's right on the border. He wants the mayor of Beverly Hills to annex his apartment building for just typical Johnny Drama reasons. There's nothing important. It's just he wants to say he lives in. So Johnny Drama decides he's going to take out the mayor of Hollywood for a night out on the town with movie star Vinny Chase. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what Entourage is about, I can't help you because I'm not going to do the backstory. But Johnny takes the mayor of Hollywood out, and he's with Johnny Chase. He's with Vinny Chase. He's with E. There's also a Harvey Weinstein character who was a big player in this particular episode. So they take the mayor out, and the mayor's a dork. The mayor has no right to be out hanging out with movie star Vinny Chase and all this stuff. But the mayor's a dork, and they're trying to get him laid. And if anybody can get him laid, Vinny Chase can. So the mayor is in this bar, and Johnny sets him up with a girl, and the girl and the mayor start hanging out, and it is the plot twist after they get the mayor hooked up with this girl, and they're making out in the corner of the bar and all that. Our heroes, Johnny Drama, E, Eric, that is E, Turtle, and Vince are at the bar watching it go down. They're like, look at this success. We hooked the mayor of Beverly Hills up with a woman. He's going to get laid. Johnny's going to get his apartment buildings annexed into Beverly. Everybody's happy. And at that point, a bouncer comes up and whispers something into E's, or not E, but Vinny Chase's ear. He's like, hey, man, I just want to give you a heads up. Is that your boy over there? Your boy, the mayor, the one you brought in? Yeah, we came in with, hey, man, you just got to know that girl that he's with, that ain't a girl, man. That's a chick with a dick. He's doing some tranny shit. And they were all fucking appalled. Like, just being in the same room with a trans person was like the worst possible thing. It's 2005. That's how quickly we've been asked to adjust our sensibility. In 2005, those guys on Entourage, who seemed like douchebags, but good-hearted guys. They didn't want to be mean to people. They were presented with a situation where somebody in front of them turned out to be a trans, and they started calling them a tranny. And the bouncer says, here's exactly what the bouncer says to Vinny. Yeah, we don't allow those kinds of people in here, but she's on Howard Stern all the time, so we make an exception. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is 2005, and they're perfectly comfortable going, yeah, we don't allow trans people in here because they're weird and gross. That was basically the whole thing. And I'm watching this. My jaw dropped. I don't have a take either way. I don't see a whole the trans issue is not a big issue for me in my regular life. I don't really, whatever. People want to do what they want to do, go ahead. But the cavalier way in which they were so comfortable in 2005, just completely shitting on a subset of people who today, they're protected. Certainly more to that degree. And maybe they should. I don't know. I don't know what it says. I don't know what that scene says about it. I mean, they didn't beat her up. They weren't. Actually, Johnny did say something like that. Johnny Drama said, all I know, if I reach down there and I feel a dick, somebody's losing teeth. There was that. And I'm like, yeah, well, that is how we all felt back in 2005. If I'm at a bar hitting on a girl and I start making out with her and she turns out to be a guy, I'm probably going to punch him in the face. That doesn't mean that I'm anti-trans. It just means that I don't like to be tricked into homosexuality. I mean, it's just a whole different thing. But man, there are millions of examples, that just little ones, little micro examples on Entourage that remind me of how much we have changed in 20 years. How much as a society we have. That show, I look at Entourage and I look at it and it looks modern to me. Those cars don't look old timey. The way they're dressed, it's not humorously old time. My God, remember when we wore our hair like that? No, none of that. Everything is pretty consistent. Everything, the 2005 of Entourage basically looks like, today. Except for the way they talk about things. These are, when you write a script and you have your characters and you start breaking your characters down, you have heroes and heels. These are our heroes. These are the heroes of Entourage. And they're like, yeah, I can't stand fucking trannies. And I'm like, holy shit. Holy fuck. We were way different. Can't do that now. A bunch of other examples too. Like Ari. Like, here's what I do love about it. This is what I do love about Ari and his character. Ari don't give a fuck. Ari is the most offensive son of a bitch. If you're fat, he's going to call you a fat ass. If you're gay, he's going to make fun of you being gay. Doesn't matter what you are. Ari is going to destroy you for it. The shit that Ari says to Lloyd, his gay Asian assistant, is just like, my God, that is awful. And I would advocate that you could do that character today. The stuff that the Lloyd, Ari berating Lloyd and calling him, Elton Wang or something. I don't know. He's making fun of his homosexuality, making fun of his Asian. I think he still could do that. And here's why, because Ari does it in a way where Ari is obviously being seen as the guy who's inappropriate. I think you should be able to do that. I think that if you want to call somebody a stupid chink, as long as you're not being made, and by the way, that's I'm demonstrating. If you want to say in a script, stupid chink, you cannot be presented in that moment as the hero of the scene. You have to be the fool or the villain, whichever. And that's what Ari was always sort of the fool when he was losing his mind. So I think you could still do that. And I always push back against, the whole Jerry Seinfeld thing. He recently said this, where he lamented that you can't do any of the comedy that you used to do. And then you always hear people say, you couldn't do All in the Family today. Yeah, you could. You absolutely could do All in the Family. You could do All in the Family because the All in the Family was satire from the very beginning. And there's a difference between satire that Archie Bunker put out there and how Johnny Drama reacted when he found out that a woman had a dick. That wasn't satire. Johnny Drama, that character, was trying to be like the normal people, fitting in, and the normal people would beat up that tranny. That's unacceptable. Archie Bunker was obviously the fool. That was satire. That was being written by somebody who was intentionally trying to make Archie look the fool. The person who wrote those lines for Johnny Drama wasn't trying to make him look the fool with that line. He was trying to make him seem cool. That's how a cool guy would act. So that's why that's a little bit more troubling. I don't know. I think it's really interesting because I do not think that 2005 is all that long ago. I mean, and I watch it and I'm like, this is a different world. Completely different. All right. I got nothing else. I'm out of show. What do you guys want to do now? I know what I got to do. I got to get ready. I got to put this thing together for James. We're going to go be on the James show, WBAP 93.3. I think I do. I don't know. I thought I do Wednesdays at 4:30, but I haven't heard from him today, which means I very well may be doing Thursday because there was a point where I was doing Thursday. I don't know. Tune into James. Hang up with me, like we're talking on the phone. When I end this show, I'm going over to James, see what James is doing. Maybe you'll hear me there in an hour. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But I really wish I knew if I was doing it today or not, because I need to go to the store. I need to buy provisions. I do not have food. I also do not have money for food, but I've got to try and figure out how to make this work. I also need gas. It's kids' weekend. Oh my God. All right. That's enough. These are the stresses that I live with every day. Once again, let's thank our executive producer of today's show. He executive produced, what is this? Almost a 2.5 hour show? 3.5 hour show. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, make my day. Literally, drop a little something in the Cash App or in the Venmo. Help this show keep going. Fuck that. Help this show. Help me live. Help me live some kind of a life. Appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. We do this show every day, Monday through Friday. I'm the monk of media. That's what I am. I'm the monk of media. I'm the monk of media. I'm the monk of, I don't know what I am. Whatever I am, I've taken a vow of the show runs on your tips. Help us out if you want. We'll be back tomorrow at noon, as we are every day, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. for 3 years. We are out of things to say. I'm done. What's going on, Jimmy Smells? Jimmy Smells says, bye, kids. Be cool like me. Yeah, like him.